live on multiple things. Hi, my name is Chris Farah. Welcome to tonight, everyone, where we are live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on TikTok. I can't do anything more than this. This feels like a lot. As we discuss one of the craziest nights of my past life, this life, which is I got to go to the 90-Day Fiancé holiday party. Hi, my name is Chris. Now, if you know me, great. Listen, you might know me from any of the following things, and let's get into it. Where you're watching right now, maybe we're friends. Maybe you follow DocuSweeties, the podcast. Maybe you know me from YouTube because I've been talking about shows and I've looked very different because we all grow up in, ways, and we all evolve for like the past 10 years. Maybe you know me from Chelsea Lately, or maybe like improv or comedy. I don't know. God bless. Maybe you don't know me. But I recently just had like a fun AMA on Reddit. So I'm hopefully going to meet some new people and be able to like interact with fun people as we, discuss one dumb thing that we all love, which is a reality show called 90-Day Fiancé. Now, why do I love it? I like it because it's a docu-series format, and it's supposed to be, like a very truthful story about people coming together and, dealing with all of the trials and tribulations of a relationship with like natural, funny situations like fish out of water and like odd couples because there's like two cultures and, often one's in a different place and all that stuff. Okay. And I think that also there's a sort of genuineness about 90-Day Fiancé that doesn't exist in, let's just say, the Bravo world. And I'm not saying one's better than the other, but why I think that I tend to engage with 90-Day Fiancé more, and I know I say it like it has like less syllables than it should. It's because I have a very lazy tongue. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I really enjoy the characters and the relationship, and also like this kind of entree into talking about like human psychology, human behavior, especially when it comes to love and relationships. And it's also because I think that humanity is ultimately a very lonely experience, right? Like, and I think that a lot of the things that we do for sure either distract us from that, and or like try and ease it. And then the other things that we do are try and like stifle it or make sure people don't know that we suffer from it. And when I say loneliness, it's just like, sometimes it could be like not knowing yourself. Sometimes it could be just like not being understood. Sometimes it could be because you're single or whatever. God, like there's a lot to it. So anyway, that's why I like the show, and that's why I have been talking about it for a long time. And yeah, I think that it hits a certain part of me that's like a curious person. Like the part of me that like likes acting and likes to read about plays and stuff like that. Like I like to obviously enjoy human stories. That's why I enjoy 90-Day Fiancé. Okay, 90-Day Fiancé is what it's called. God, I really have to do tongue stretches. So anyway, podcast-wise, there's a niche world of reality show podcasters. If you know that, then I already brought up Bravo. So Bravo has their recappers that they do, like Wash with Crappens and Bitch Sesh. Maybe you listen to them. There's so many. My friend, Ann Maddox has one because she was like, Tom's assistant, and Ariana's assistant. So there's so many great ones, and it's all about like the person talking has their own point of view and their own like life experience that they bring into like talking about whatever they're going to talk about, whatever. And reality gays, if we're going to talk about the 90-day world, like reality gays, two best friends that are gay men and have known each other for a long time, and both are Southern and both are white, and both get to kind of talk about 90-Day Fiancé, but also because they're, first of all, adorable, amazing, lovely people, and also so close to each other. You get this genuineness of like a relationship and an understanding of each other. And then you have like a solo podcast like Pink Shading, where she has Mary Payne gets to have like other people come in, but she gets to have like her seminal like point of view. She's a very smart woman, very, like dignified, like, a very cool, like, like curious person too. And like, and if you listen to like Kate Casey, that's someone who is like so cerebral, so smart, like an investigative journalist, like my kind of recap, or my kind of podcast is gonna be so different. And the great thing about if you listen to people talk about this stuff is that once you find the people that either feel like you or feel so different from you or do weird things that you like it's kind of like watching TV with a friend. Anyway, so I like watching the show. Obviously, I tend to be obsessed with like details, fashion details, looks, beauty stuff, but also like why do they do things? Okay. Having said that, that's why I like it. Now, I already brought up reality gaze. So what had happened was TLC and 90 Day Fiancé threw a party. And I had gotten to go to the premiere party for Hunt for Love. And that was in New York at a big venue. And, I got to go to that event, see the cast, talk to some people, and, then watch the entire series. And then as I'm watching the series, I get to go back and be like, well, who talked to who at the event? Like who was interacting with who. And then this event is like wildly different. It had such a different vibe. And I guess I'll explain the two anyway. So this event was like basically felt like a company party, except Matt Sharp wasn't there. And I'm like so sad about that because I did get to talk to him at the Hunt for Love party. And I obviously would very much enjoy him to, do some sort of like, what is it called? Like, coronation or like a bequeathing. No, it's like when you just like, it's like Sir Lancelot gets down and you just like do something. I would love to work for the franchise. Like, obviously I would love to like host like an after hours thing. I do feel like the problem is I wouldn't want to talk to every single person that they have on the show because a lot of the people that they have on the show are like, sometimes not as fun to talk to, but then I think they do a good job of weeding out most of the people that I'm like, no, thank you, right? Like there's no more Lyda, and there really was never after season 1. And, there's never going to be any more like Tiger Lily, there's other ones, but like there's people that I'm like, I never really want to talk to that person. And yet that person is around. Okay. So the holiday party happens and I get to go because of the good grace of Reality Gaze. They invited me as their +1. So I was over the moon. I love New York and also got to be at Tavern on the Green. Tavern on the Green is this gorgeous restaurant like in Central Park. So I was like foaming at the mouth. And again, I have like a huge good grace luxury that I get to go with my best friends to like what is kind of like a work networking event. And also like a fun show. Like, I mean, this is so fun. Now, I have mild trepidation because I'm not like it isn't like I have like stanhood of any one particular cast member, right? Like, I'm not like, oh, I'm so obsessed with like, I want to be best friends with, and I really have like a parasocial relationship. Like, I really want to be, like ingrained or BFF with one of them. Like, no. I mean, even people that I like will for sure would love to talk to, like someone like Yara or whatever. Like, there's no one that I feel like that's my best friend in disguise. And only if they knew that we are so similar in some ways, like, like, no. I would rather truthfully probably have like a little bit of like a distance where I can just remark kindly and honestly and genuinely on like what I see without like really knowing if they're going to have hurt feelings over it, or if I'm going to see them and they're going to feel anyway. Now, the good news is no one knows me except for who I'll tell you about. When I get into the story, I'm like, I don't think anyone's going to know me because docu-sweeties, and I loved doing it with WA just ended. And I just premiered my new podcast, Vanity Fair. But in the hierarchy of podcasts, I don't really know who they know except for Reality Gaze. And, I don't know if they all know that, but definitely Darcy and Stacey know them, and that God bless. So I knew that I was probably gonna go in and no one would really understand or know me, which is fine. Also, I know I'm not a mean person. I haven't said that many bad things, and the only like, whatever. Like, maybe the meanest things I've said to anyone that I was around is Ed, and I don't think knows me at all. I didn't talk to him, so God bless. And I was mean to him, like I'm sure I did body shame him over the years. It's hard also when you've talked about a show for 10 years. Like, who knows what I've said? Okay, God bless. Moving on. So, but I get to go. So, pull up, and it's a beautiful venue. It's freezing outside, and it's just all decorated. It's Christmassy or whatever, and we get the list of people, and early on, and I was like, oh my God. I was really excited. So people that went were Darcy and Stacy, Florian, Georgie. We had, so Thais was supposed to come with Patrick. Patrick didn't end up making it. Thais came with like a Patrick handheld mask. Vanya was there. Bad Boys were there. So Josh was there, who I'd never talked to. And I never talked to him in real life, but I talked to him while I was there, and everyone was really kind. I mean, in the sense of no one was like weird or mean. Not that, no one was like, I don't know, like the worst possible scenario is what, like they heard me say one thing and then was going to like come at me about it. Who knows? Also, I was on a podcast for a long time with someone who I think was a little more open with their negative feelings about them. I think, God bless. So anyway, So all that to say, when I met Josh, I was like, my experience seeing him on the show was that pretty much that he was like fucking around with an obvious mental case. And like, why would that be? Like, what was he gaining from that? Like, obviously being on the show, or more so other like toxic male stuff, like just fucking some crazy girl because the sex is good, but that she wants to be with you, but you'll never be with her, so you just lie and string her along. And he was, like he said he was open to her, that he was always dating other people and whatnot. And so anyway, but he was lovely. He was like actually totally chill. So he also told me that, him and Natalie still talk, and he had talked to her recently. And obviously I do think that he wants to be on the show, but also I want to host the after show. But also, I don't think that he's like a nefarious person. And I do think that she is, probably parts of her are not on the show are good. To think about what positiveness he got from like being around someone crazy is a little hard for me to like be like, well, then how are you not crazy? Like, I don't know. If there's something, it's hard. I do judge people. So I'm like, you are judged by the company you keep. So I think that was a little like, I don't know what to tell you. You kept kind of poking a crazy one, and then you knew what was happening. So, but you know what? He's still around, and I wish him the best. So, and maybe there'll be a great storyline where you see this person, I don't know, be really like be genuine in a relationship, like actually love someone. Maybe that's what it is. He's neither here nor there, except the show is about love. And I would never say I saw this person in love. I definitely didn't. Knew he wasn't. And so I think I was like, okay, well, great. I mean, like me, Josh would be probably much better if he was single and on fucking Hunt for Love. Maybe that's the point where like he can like show his personality, and maybe that's what should happen. But I think that's what it is. It's like, I never saw you in love. I'm trying to think, like the same thing with Jamal. There was never part of me with like Jamal and like Veronica where I was like, oh, that's a relationship that's like soulmatey and that's going to happen. They're just finishing their sentences. It's totally great. Like I'm not going to be like hanging my hat on that relationship. So I think in thusly like watching it, I was never like, can't wait for more Jamal scenes. You know what I'm saying? So it's not so much for him. It's just that like the show's about what this person would be like if they had to pay the price of being in a relationship, like the vulnerability. Like I've never seen Josh be vulnerable, and I've never seen Jamal be vulnerable because they were never in relationships that meant anything to them. When you have to like watch someone like go through the pain of like having your heart broken or someone or breaking someone's heart or the awkwardness or cringe of like those things. That's like what makes the show watchable. That's what the show's about. So it's like hard to like have positive and or like insightful opinions on like what felt like, oh, that's not real. You know what I'm saying. So I talked to Rob. I did talk to Jamal, and so I talked to Josh and Jamal a little bit. And again, both were very lovely. And Kimberly was there too, and I was so happy to talk to her. I talked to Rob the most, and mostly I talked to Rob about Hunt for Love. Well, I talked to Rob about Sophie and Claire. And honestly, like this is like a classist question for me. Like I never understood why they kept being like, Sophie came from money, grandfather will not have money. And then, obviously Claire had a drug problem. So I'm not going to even talk about that or whatever, or the way that her drug problem. It's just that Claire, in my mind, never spoke what I think is supposed to be like, if you are English and you have money, you speak like this. But I maybe have an archaic way of thinking about like British class system. Like I was always like, there's no way that Claire's dad has money. And, he let her leaving the house, like talking like a fucking, Liza Doolittle. I mean, like, I don't understand it, but that is whatever it was. He just basically said that, so, obviously Claire got pregnant with Sophie and her father just like had to bail his like fucked up daughter out a lot. And that he was friends with Claire before. And none of this, by the way, I'm saying this out loud to you. I feel like this isn't secrets he was telling me. Like no one was like, don't you say anything. And obviously I'm trying to think, there is no secret for me that's like, I watch someone, bury a body. At the very end of the night, drama happens and I'm gonna tell you about it. And I don't mind talking about it. And I feel like most of the people there wouldn't mind me talking about it either. So, okay. I have ADHD, so I'm gonna go back and forth. Okay, so, so I talked to Rob. I'm talking to Rob. Sophie and Claire. So Sophie and Claire. He's still married, I think, technically to Sophie. Like Sophie had done that like 90-day fiance kind of world tour where she kept taking pictures with people, and she had taken a picture with Miona, and her and Miona look, I mean, like cut from the same cloth, that Instagram cloth, that like, the same exact pattern. So much so it's like I think it's funny because they're so, they're drastically different ethnicities. So yeah, he was talking to Mary Payne a lot too about this video of like Sophie finding him in Vegas and like being weird. And yeah, I didn't listen a lot to the Sophie conversation with him. I talked to him about Hunt for Love and Elise, who was there, and his experience there. So I went to the Hunt for Love party, like I said. Okay. And obviously I got to meet the cast fine. I didn't know anyone in the cast except for Courtney, who I knew Courtney because Courtney had gone to a comedy show that I did with like some other 90-day cast members were there. This is like so long ago, like pre-COVID. I had met David and Annie, so they're lovely. Corey was there and Courtney. I liked Courtney. I liked Courtney immediately. She's like, Courtney is like, what you see is what you get, which if I'm going to give any sort of overall thesis statement to the absolutely stupid and all over the place story I'm saying, is that genuinely all these characters, all these lovely people who are putting their lives out there, all of them felt very genuine. Like what you see on TV is what you get. Like I didn't get a crazy different energy from one of them. It wasn't like anyone changed their voice or, everyone did what they did. They did what they were doing. I mean, so it was just so interesting. So, let me go back. So Courtney is that way. Like Courtney is just like, was a very down girl when I met her, just like easy, just like kind of chill, like she's evolved. And I almost feel like I've seen her grow a lot in her self-confidence, especially after like Hunt for Love and stuff like that. So it makes me really happy. I'm not really close with her, but I knew her, before I went into the Hunt for Love thing, and I obviously like her or whatever. So I meet Tiffany and Tiffany is so beautiful and so sweet. And I like her a lot, like at the Hunt for Love party. And I met Rob. I met Rob there, and I was like nervous to meet Rob. Mostly, I was also nervous with Wah, and but you know, everyone's totally fine. And I didn't really get to talk to Rob that much. The other podcasters that were there, you know, Rob is very good looking, so a lot of people are just like fully like, you know, like wanting to talk to him and like, you know, getting lost in those hazel eyes. God bless him. So um Tiffany goes on Hunt for Love. And I think that and this is where I will like put myself in the wrong. I sort of like put Tiffany like on a pedestal where I was like, ah, Tiffany, like I liked meeting her so much. And I like, you know, I'm so happy for her. And, you know, we share one stupid commonality is that we both just got fucked up by like South African like gamblers. No, I'm kidding. But we both we both had weight loss surgery. Okay, and so you know, I feel like oh, you know, like I'm so happy that she, you know, like had a process that like is similar to me, and you know, like she. We both love makeup, and I think I never really I didn't go into Hunt for Love being like that's my girl. I actually hadn't seen her, you know, obviously she hadn't been on the show in a long time. But after meeting her and after like watching Hunt for Love, I was like so happy for her to like really reign. I feel like she looked so good. And I feel like she was like a little queen. I feel like she looked so like she was kind of like commanding shit. And also like, you know, the other characters, like there's Jennifer, and she obviously is Jennifering it up, you know, and like you see, you know, she's gonna do her. And then there was the other characters like Elise, which we'll get to. And Elise, we didn't know she wasn't even a none of a cast member at all. She's just like a very, you know, slender, svelte, you know, like absolutely like sexy. God, like what do you call her? Like Miami baddie, you know, like she's really beautiful. And yet I do feel like she's not as bitchy about it because she is insecure. And you know, like I wish I feel like I'm saying this not from like so much what I saw. When I saw her, she was very kind to me, and I'm talking about like her behavior. I think that's mostly because I do feel like she leads with like her like with sex in such a way that it makes me feel like she feels like she has to like distract or compensate for something that she doesn't. I don't quite understand what she thinks she has to compensate for. She's beyond like the best body I've seen like in a very fucking long time. And when I'm telling you at this holiday party she was wearing like almost like this Colt Gaia drippy pearl number. I mean like hair on point. We'll get into her. So on Hunt for Love, she's doing the most, right? She's like showing Rob her ass and she's talking about anal or whatever. And like, no, I wouldn't do those things. Not so much that I'm not, you know, I'm just saying I wouldn't say those things, ha ha ha, out loud. Um, I'm not saying I actually wouldn't do, you know, if you actually, anyway, I'm just gonna move on from this whole situation. I wish I didn't talk about the last sentence, but anyway, God bless. So, but she is obviously like a newcomer and she is getting probably dragged by the edit. Like you would have to assume that if you like are watching Hunt for Love, that Elise, who's like not a 90 cast member, is getting this time is like probably gonna need some like girlhood or sisterhood. That's what I would think. But I wouldn't even I wouldn't try and like add fuel to a flame. And for some reason, I felt like when I watched Tiffany on Hunt for Love, she was like preoccupied with like dealing with the other women and like either throwing them under the bus or telling men not to be with them or like whatever. And I'm not saying those men should be with them, like or whatever, but it felt like Tiffany had such an opportunity to really sit in her own power and like find who she was supposed to find, but like that didn't happen, right? I just saw her kind of like going, you know, at Jennifer and going, you know, and throwing Elise under the bus and kind of calling Elise a slut. And I'm not, you know, God bless. And Rob or anyone or Tiffany or anyone could be like, well, look at her behavior. But it's like, yeah, but look at your position. I felt like it was punching down, right? So if you know this, you know that I reached out to Tiffany like in DM and we talked about it, whatever. And so I had basically told Rob this. I was like, this is what I feel like. I don't understand. I'm not saying I would choose to act like, Elise or Jennifer. Truly, I wouldn't. But at the same time, I felt like it was a situation where Tiffany got, and I messed up his name, and I was like, I was like, Cole Carlo, I forgot. Because again, these are like people I'll probably never see again. I felt like at the end of Hunt for Love, Tiffany was like, all right, Carla, well, that was a big thing I wouldn't expect you to do, but I guess you guys should do it. You're perfect for each other. And of course, she manipulates him to come back and be like, just kidding, Tiffany, I want to choose you. And then it's like, yeah, but now he gets to be like, yeah, you. Like he got the choice. If she had just been like, oh, cool, bye, and then just went on in her time, then he would have been with Elise, and he would have never thought that he was going to be given a choice of like, oh, Tiffany, maybe. I don't know. Rob was like, no, she did it. Tiffany fucking killed that move. Rob was really proud of her and her game at the end of Hunt for Love. So we have a, difference of opinion there. I'm trying to think of like, as they move into different like formats, like what makes a good format. Again, I feel like you want to see genuine like desire, like genuine action, like genuine trying. Like you don't want to see someone attempting to try. You don't want to see someone playing at trying, but you want to see someone like, if they are single, put their heart out there and like, see what could happen. Now that's a very vulnerable thing, right? Reality show startup isn't for everyone. It's a whole beast that you like have to sign literally contracts for, and yourself and your soul with the world, and like making the world feel okay to comment on you. And that's part of it, I guess. But it's hard to watch something when things are so like chill and like lazy, like I'm going to call it laissez affair, like whatever, because like things don't have stakes or meaning. And I mean, I feel like that what I just said is a metaphor for dating itself. Like right now, I feel like I like energy, like I like truthful energy behind, like I want to see someone try. I think it's also what you would give an actor as like the best acting advice ever, which is when you're acting, don't try, don't act like you're doing something. To its core, when you are acting, when the best actors are doing, are just truthfully doing. And I think there's a certain kind of like weird energy that you can pick up on when it is so natural. And that naturalness is highly watchable, because just like theater or just like reality shows, like when someone's truthfully in the moment, it's just like the human storytelling that like connects us all. Okay, so moving on. Um Rob and Elise did flirt during the party. Like, and by flirt, I mean like, she would lay on him and they would like talk and like they would cuddle. I don't think that there's like, let's just say a budding romance that like would lead to marriage. But I wouldn't be surprised if they were like on some other show and like messed around. I think that either of them would hook up with both of them and other people, like easily. I assume that Elise, like with Rob, I feel like I assume Elise knows that Rob, isn't for that life right now. I don't know. Well, Rob is still married, so um, it's interesting. Yeah, like it's interesting if we get to see any 90-day cast member truthfully go from like being in love with someone to finding a new person and being in love with them. Because I'm going to bring myself to like a new couple that or new people that were there. So Kalani was there, and her sister was there. And I was so excited about Kalani being there because, as we know, she got married very young to a person that she lost her virginity with and then got pregnant too. And he was her father's culture, and she was also raised Mormon. And we know that sometimes lovely ladies and people that are, raised Mormon, are raised in a certain culture of like minimal sex education, like combined with hardcore conservative fundamentalist family values, can easily result in babies having babies. and in relationships with people that if they had any wherewithal and like emotional IQ to like sit with and be like, what's happening here? They'd be like, oh, I cannot, this is no, no. And Asuelu was absolutely like that. Obviously the show happened and people would, tap dance around the fact that Asuelu was, God bless, not anyone that you could like write home about. And like some of the fights with his mom and sister are like top kind of unfortunately tear dramatic moments of the entire series. Like having his mom like just like beg for money and not care like how it affects her grandchildren was, a very crazy watch. Now, it's a crazy watch specifically also for like Western Americans, there's obviously a lot of obligatory financial situations that happen in different cultures. Okay. And that's obviously what we watch. But obviously, Asuelu's mom asking for money and just like all she wants is money was like something that we were like, what the fuck? And at the same time, for us Americans, we're like, Kalani, get out. No, run, girl, no, get like, leave that froyo maker, like straight up. And she did. She did. She did. But now she's with some man named Dallas. They had a baby. And so, yeah, I would wonder why we just had Happily Ever After and like we didn't have her on it. I want to see her. I want to see her in love again. Okay, so I also got to hang out with her and her sister, and I also got to tell them that I like their eyeliner. Obviously, both sisters have had very sharp eyeliner. Cat eyeliner. I mean, that cat eyeliner has been winged out for a long time. I assume they've been using the entire time, like the MAC gel pot with a very like tapered brush. The entire, please. By the way, if you haven't yet, please like this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you're in the room. Please, like say hi. Please tap the screen. Say like, hey, girl, hey, thanks so much for like talking about NYC Fiancé. It's so fun to hear you talk about this dumb show. Anyway, God bless. Okay, so but Kalani and her sister being at the party also makes me feel like the franchise is having them. They're not New York based. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so also at the party was Emily and Kobe. Now, I think Emily and Kobe might be the best couple on the franchise. And the reason why is because every season that they've given us like over the top drama and really great storylines with also like this foundation of like love and respect for each other, even if it's like misunderstanding and confusion and biting your lip and sacrifice, even if there's hard moments sometimes. Like they don't feel like, I mean, I know they don't yell at each other in such a way, right? It isn't like you're watching them and being like, oh, blah, please stop, please get them off my screen or whatever. You're very much like, oh, good, fun people, I think the first season, right, Emily was like bossy, and we're like, oh my God, she's so bossy. And then like, we were also like, Kobe, why is he so nice? And he is. Okay. So I talked to Kobe for so long and mostly about this concept that he talked to me, I should say, this concept of, and I feel like it was in relationship to others in the scene, about how your relationship is with your loved one is what you choose every day. Like you choose to be happy. You choose to be this relationship and to accept and like be in it without wanting or trying for it to be something else or be like something else. Like your ultimate decision is just, I choose to be happy. And I am my own source of happiness because I choose to be happy in this moment. So it isn't not dependent on one child or my wife or whatever. It isn't dependent on the way I like look or the way my wife looks. It's that this is what I've chosen because I have, it is what makes me happy. I'm grown enough to know. And the peace and relief that comes from that, especially because the antithesis of that is like this constant kind of like grabby, or is this person going to leave me, or should I be with someone else, or I don't know, is this not going to work out, or am I not happy, or like constantly like in your head about everything. So I mean, I'm gonna tell you this, like Kobe I think is younger than me, and I'm not quite sure if he is or not, and if he's not, if he is, then not by a lot. But this conversation with Kobe felt like my loveliest uncle telling me like his like divine wisdom about how to be happy. Like it was sage like, or like mentor like I mean like a priest, or like some like a like a father wanted to like tell me how he made his life happy and work. And I mean, I'm listening to this, like looking at Darcy and Stacy and Florian and Georgie, you know what I'm saying? So, and there's a lot of unrest with those couples, a lot of not peace, right? Like there's no rest or peace with those couples, which I'll get into. So it's like, as he's telling me this, and as like we're both kind of like having this moment and looking at each other, and he's telling me, and then we look at and we're looking at the view I'm saying, it's like very obvious what he's saying, and which is that he's found a secret that other people should and can find, but like something torments them enough, and they refuse to, right? I swear to God that it's like I'm like having this moment, and I'm like, oh, I wish this was televised. I wish I could be talking about this, like I wish that these conversations are like so interesting to me. And it's never going to be the conversation that I get to like then watch Sean Robinson turn over to Darcy, and Georgie and be like, can you radically choose to be happy with each other? Have you consider right? Like, I mean, could you imagine like actually having like a diatribe or a discussion between people, like in a way that was like people had paid attention? So anyway, so come on. So that happens with Kobe. Okay. I talked to Vanya a little bit. Vanya is very nice. She was just mostly taking pictures of herself and kind of running around. The theme that people were wearing what seemed like black, white, red. So black and white. And then there was like some tan in there. So black and white, Darcy and Stacy. Florian was like in this camel coat. Wait, I think both, yeah, Florian and Georgie were both, and I mean dressed impeccably, like the most dapper, like really well dressed. I mean, I was like, it was, I mean, I was impressed. Like, as I hardly, as a female, I'll be honest, ever get impressed by what men wear. Like, unless you're Ellen Cumming, like, and then I'm like, oh, God bless. And, obviously, if you're, non-binary, then I'll be obsessed with what you're wearing. But male presenting is what I'm talking about. So both gentlemen looked amazing, and both sisters did too. Everyone was exactly like they were on TV. Florian was hilarious. Doesn't give a fuck. Doesn't really want, like, it's just like, I don't care about these people. He is exactly like he was on like Last Resort, like he wants to have a fun time. Like he wants to hang out and he wants to have a fun time. He absolutely does not want drama, and he won't really allow it around him. Like he doesn't even care to engage it, but he does just want to fucking do Florian. And so doing Florian means like having fun, flirting, smoking cigarettes, drinking. Yes, he wants to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like those are things that he wants to do. And you're not going to tell him now. Period. Georgie didn't really talk to that much. But what I would say was that he was like serious, like very serious. Florian and Georgie like didn't talk much or hang out in the evening. I don't know why I found that fascinating. I think I thought they would be like not flirting, hanging out more, or just like, I mean, we know this life, we've hung out, we know these crazy women, or whatever you're going to say, this podcast BS. We know this 90-day circle. We're just like, at least we're two people that are, friends, but no. Okay. Darcy and Stacy were dressed totally up and looked absolutely glammed up and lovely. People on Reddit were like, what do they look like? And what is their plastic surgery like? And what is it like up close? It's interesting because, okay, on their social media, I feel like, and then by the way, on their social media, and then therefore the media of them that gets broadcast to us, like by the updates and by stuff, is like a lot of pictures of them like pre-surgery, post-surgery, like in the room, right? Where you're just like ready to go. And like, I feel like I see a lot of like Darcy and Stacy with the tape right here, like, and this note, okay. So, and that is like a very jarring image. And as we like get close, we can not get closer. As we talk, there are ways in which you might utilize the human brain and psychology to repeatedly get your algorithm raised because people are going to want to look at ridiculous looking train wreck style visuals. So I think like in a way how a lot of like TikTok people or something like that will like do like undercover fetish content, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying when I say that. Not me. But like, like if you see, I don't know, honey, you see like girls or not even say girls, you see anyone like just too many feet things. You're like, why is this TikTok about up close of these people's feet? And you're like, oh, it's because maybe this person is trying to like, get a bunch of hits, honey, from like a certain subsect. Okay. So having said that, I do think that they use those pictures a lot to like, because they know they're like quite shareable. Also, the plastic surgery they're getting is the plastic surgery that is the perfect canvas for like the most glammed up makeup, right? You don't, you don't do like clean girl aesthetic. You can't, pull that back and just like, fucking put a tint and a perm on an eyelash and call it a day. You have to like do the whole thing. So they looked fine. They looked great. Like I at this moment in my life have the privilege to say that I won't get facial plastic surgery, or at least to the level that they did. I can't imagine I will. They did. Either it makes them happy or it made them happy, or they're in the pursuit of happiness. So let's just say that they're in the pursuit of happiness. I would say that like this entire series is about the pursuit of happiness, like 90-Day Fiancé is about the pursuit of happiness for at least one of those people, for at least one person, if not two, right? Which then made me feel like, yeah, like what Kobe said. If you choose to be happy, then you don't pursue happiness. You don't have to. You've chosen it and you are, period. Darcy was so kind and took a bunch of pictures with me. And I have them. And it's interesting because, again, on her own Instagram and stuff, like there's a lot of Facetune pictures. So when I took these, she never once was like, can I see them? Or can I, or no, or whatnot. In fact, I posted them on Instagram and she reposted them. I think she looks beautiful. Does this person plastic surgery up? Of course. But like, does this person look so drastically different from anyone that's like right now at Mar-a-Lago? No. That is the face at Mar-a-Lago. I can't say Mar-a-Lago. She does. I mean, like that she's not the only one. So anyway, but yeah, she reposted my filterless pictures on her Instagram, which I'm not saying like, oh, okay, there's two parts of me saying that. I'm not saying like, ha ha ha, she did that. What I'm saying is, are you surprised, like I was, that she would post that picture without like heavily fucking face tuning it. Darcy is, I wrote this in an AMA. Darcy is exactly who she is on TV. I saw I saw every part of her. I saw her like incredible warmth, and she was incredibly fun and playful with specifically the reality gays who she likes to kiki with, like who she knows like have her back and who she knows loves her. I know, it definitely feels like Darcy is in the pursuit of love and acceptance and, happiness, therefore. And she's not the only one. And I can see how all those things came together. I also, like I didn't see Georgie hit on anyone, so wasn't like I saw her like get mad at that. But I also wouldn't say that I saw them like lovey-dovey or hanging out. No, she was also not at all diva-like in the sense that to me, and I think like most people like of the party, she like Jenny was there. And I'm going to talk about Jenny in a second. Jenny is very long time and Jenny is a queen. But Darcy, we could say, would probably be like she is the biggest 90 Day Fiancé star at the franchise party in the sense that, Darcy and Stacey have their own show. You know what I'm saying? Darcy is like an OG member. We know Darcy very fucking well. Darcy at the party was not like, I'm better than anyone here, like these cast members. I'm also going to say that I wouldn't say that I saw a lot of like everyone talking to Darcy, but and by that I mean I don't think that Vanya and Thais were like ingrained with like talking to Darcy. At one point, Emily and Kobe and Kalani and unfortunately, this is the other bad thing is, for a long time, I do this thing where I don't know everyone's names all the time. And so I have a fascination with calling one sister one name and then just slightly varying it up for the other sister and then forgetting what their actual name is and then just continually calling them the fucked up fake name. So I did it before with, how Libby has a sister named Becky and then there was another sister. Okay, well that's other sister's name is Jen, but on the podcast and for years and on YouTube, I just be like Becky and Buki, right? Like whatever, Becky and Buki. So with Kalani, it was Kalani and Kaluni. For so long, I called her sister Kaluni that in right now, I don't know her name. I think it's Colini. I think it's Colini. And this is like a more like like a neurological problem within myself. So having said that, anyway, it's her name. Okay, so they were hanging out, Kobe, Emily, and the K sisters. Thais and Vanya were like maybe hanging out a little bit, but like not really. They were kind of like a little bit separate from everyone else, both in red dresses. They both looked great. Definitely Stacey and Darcy, hung out and they definitely drank. I got to see definitely Darcy and her beautiful daughter, Aniko. I got to see them like hang out and definitely got to see Darcy and Stacey, put them back. Darcy loves alcohol. That's true. I like had a flash from like Jesse making her not drink. And maybe like, I remember that Jesse scene with her when he said that to her. I was like, Jesse, how fucking dare you? You never tell a lady not to do shit. And I was always on Darcy's side. I mean, God bless. I will still be on Darcy's side for that season for a billion reasons, mostly because I hated Jesse's stepdad so much. So did you. When she had to go meet Jesse's stepdad and Jesse's stepdad was like, whatever, you're old or whatever, God bless. And we were like, you are literally hideous. How dare you? Anyway, remember that scene though? Jesse's like, can you not drink? And she was like, no. And she can't. She's right. She can't. She can't. She likes it. Yeah, Florian is a very suave guy, like very, like he wants to flirt. I do feel like he was flirting with me hardcore throughout most of the night. I can't do anything about that. I myself. But at the same time, I do feel like it was so interesting to watch all of the dynamics that like I had witnessed. It was like being in a virtual version of 90 Day Fiancé. At one point I was like, that's crazy. Like if there were cameras here, like I couldn't, like whatever, like I couldn't I don't know. I'm not going to hook up with Florian. I would never do that. And also because I like Stacy a lot. And also I'm like a girl's girl. But at the same time, I was like, this is real life. What, he's just going to like flirt with someone in front of her? And the truth is yes. Yes. I'll get to it. So he's flirting with me a lot of the night. And I'm saying that out loud and people know it or whatever. We are smoking cigarettes together. We're talking. Okay. And that's going to come back. At the end of the night at Tavern of the Green, everyone's like, we're going to go hang out afterwards. And everyone's staying at the Dream Hotel. TLC had put him up there. And so the podcasters and I cancel our dinner plans. We were going to go to dinner at Chez Nu, which is at the Marlton Hotel. Oh, you know what, my loves? I just realized. Oh, I messed up. Okay. Anyway, and then we go to the bar at the Dream Hotel and we order like appetizers because that's supposed to be the dinner and it's, very, very small. Now, at this time, before we leave, I go to the bathroom. I'm going to tell you, I know I went back. We go to the bathroom at Tavern of the Green and I run into Elise. Now, Elise, I don't feel like necessarily wants to talk to me, but at the same time, there's not that many talking. There's not a lot of like women for her to talk to in the various age ranges that we are. So, and she knows I'm there for a reason. And it's a little awkward though. And so, and I think I'm also a little awkward because I definitely had said a lot of things about her on Hunt for Love. So, but I meet her. And again, she's dressed impeccably and she's skinny, skinny, skinny. And she has like, again, a banging body. And we're in the bathroom and I'm like, hey, congratulations also just because, obviously you got yourself to be on before the 90 days from Hunt for Love. That's awesome. You really did it. And she was like, thanks. And, I was like, yeah, just like quick question though. Why is it that like your picture with this guy, Josh from Australia, like, why is it that it's like obvious you're not in the same room? Like, why does it look like I made that pic on Canva? Now, this is where she does me good because she's like, oh, I don't even know, but do you want some Bath and Body Works spray? I'm going to tell you right now that I had on like Chanel perfume. But two things came over me. One thing is I fucking love, and I really do mean this, I love like the moment of being in a girl's bathroom with someone, like a person that I enjoy. It could be a man. I love being in girls' bathrooms. I love, obviously with women, are great to be with them. And then having like any sort of girl time, right? Like it's always like, you look great, or it's always like, don't do that with him, or he's dumb, or you see this, or do you need a tampon? Do you want this lipstick, lip gloss? Like all of that happens. And I'm always just here for it. Like I love products, you know this about me. So something, I know that when she's like, do you want this, you want me to spray you with this Bath and Body Works spray? I know it's going to smell horrible, really bad, really bad. But I don't smoke cigarettes. Like I don't smoke cigarettes. I certainly did like when I was in theater school, like, you have to at night. I mean, especially if you want to be cool. But unfortunately, because with Florian, I had smoked a bunch of them. So I definitely smelled. So I was like, yes, you can spray me down. And it was like a bunch of like razzmatazz all over me. And I remember just being like, how do you even have this? Like, how do you have this product? Who gave it to you? Did you buy it somewhere? Did you find it? Like, did you spray it once and was like, yep, this is for me? Like it was like a designer imposter perfume fragrance. It wasn't anything that I could like. Body sprays are inherently not the greatest for sure, but there's like a hierarchy to this. Having said that, this is no shame to her because she like literally offered me a beauty product in a girls' bathroom, and I said yes to, and that's on me. And she is intrinsically a gorgeous woman. So again, but LOL I was like, oh my God, it's so much just chemically, it was chemical like raspberry in my nose. And it did cover like the multitude of sins that I had had on myself. I mean, if you can imagine just all the Florian cigarette smoke. So we go to the Millennium Hotel, and there are no cameras there, and there are no producers there or whatever. Everyone is hanging out. And this is what's also radically different from The Hunt for Love. All the cast members are now like drunk as fuck and into hanging out with each other, like having fun. Like no one's weird or awkward. Like again, at Hunt for Love, we looked back and I was like, Courtney and Colty like didn't even talk at the Hunt for Love. I was like, oh, you must have already been broken up. Like definitely Tiffany and Courtney didn't talk. And I remember going back being like, well, that makes sense or whatever. Like obviously Elise wasn't at the Hunt for Love party because she wasn't famous yet. LOL. And now she's God bless at this party. Good for her. Everyone is like having fun. I had done shots like at Tavern of the Green with Florian. Everyone's like drinking though here. Darcy is wasted. I look over, I see Jamal kind of flirting with Colini. I did it right. And I was like, oh, Colini and Jamal. I could do that. And then Kimberly comes here, his mom comes in the room with Liz. Now, Liz, I was like, Liz! I was so excited to see Liz. Liz was just like dressed down. She said she was, she's, going strong with her boo. She's like with this guy. He was with her like through her cancer battle, and she looked gorgeous. She had like fresh streaks in her hair. Both Kimberly and Liz walked in as if they had just gotten like their hair freshly done. I mean, the most beautiful blended colors. Kimberly's hair color was out of control beautiful, like this brown ombre, like light brown ombre, and she was like so Sprite. I mean, she was like she was like joyous, happy to see Jamal, happy to hang out with everyone, was just like telling me how, how happy she is that everything worked out the way it did. That, the Usman thing happened, she wouldn't take it back because God bless, look where it took her. Look where it is now. Jamal's here too. Like it was all of that. I was like, ha ha ha. So when Liz got there also, we were like, hey girl, hey. And Ed had been at the Tavern at the Green party. They had dressed him up as Santa and made him like sort of like parade around the party. God bless. And at one point the bad boys lip synced Mariah Carey. Okay. And during that part, I truthfully went to go drink. You would have too. So, but God bless, they did their best. It's just that, come on, lip syncing. You see better lip syncs like on Drag Race. Come on. So, God bless them. I'm playing. Okay. So everyone was like, Liz, great. And, Ed wasn't there. And a lot of the podcasters were like, hey girl, hey, just so you know, we basically didn't even talk to him. We literally would not talk to him. Wouldn't say a word to him. And they were like, she was like, oh, so happy about that. I had told Thais, I tried to talk to Thais a little bit, but she wasn't like nor Vanya, I could tell. And that's totally fine. Like wanted any more of me in their life. Vanya maybe a little more. Thais was like, I'm good. Cool. I was like, Thais, one time I fucked up. What's Patrick's? Johnny. One time Johnny sent me this weird DM about my cleavage. And she was like, oh, he's bad. I was like, well, he's gonna be a dad now. Maybe, like things will work out for him. She's like, no, he won't change. I was like, oh, well, got it. Okay, so Vanya didn't go to the party. Ed didn't go to the party. Thais was there. Kobe was there. I mean, the after party at the Millennium Hotel. And then again, I say Kimberly and Liz comes. Jamal is flirting with Colini. Okay. I'm going to say one part that kind of goes back, and then I'll say the drama of the night. So what had happened was I got to meet Jenny. And I was not expecting Jenny and Sumit, Sumit's not there, just Jenny, to be at this event. I could not believe she was there. And I was like, nice to meet you. How are you here? And she was like, oh, wait 1 second. Okay. I was like, nice to meet you. How are you here? And she was like, yeah, I just came in, and she was being a little soft spoken. And I was like, oh my God, like, what was the first thing you like did in America? Like, what was like the first thing that you wanted to eat or whatever? And she was like, I went to McDonald's and I had it's like the Gryffindor meal. There's some meal right now at McDonald's, my loves. I don't know which one it is. It's some special marketed meal towards one of the franchises. I was like, oh, okay, great, that one. And it's basically, she was also like, I need a hamburger. I want a hamburger that don't have beef in India. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. She was like, I know you. I watch you on YouTube. I've been watching you for years. And I was like, you know me? What? You know me? What are you talking about? You know me, Jenny. And she did. She was like exactly what I said. She was like, I love watching you. She was so lovely, so kind. By far the only person that knew me, which is fine. But she was so like, I've been watching you for so long, and obviously she's been doing this show for so long, which is interesting. I was like, yeah, thank you. And I don't remember what I've said about her, and it can't be always great, but I was like overwhelmed that she like knew who I was. So my loves, I talked to her, and she's wearing this like white feather jacket. She looks really great. I'm wearing like also like a white fur coat, vintage, not me. I didn't do it. It was gifted to me. It was literally a family hand-me-down. Do not come for me. So we were like kind of matching. She had brown hair. She told me that I was like, oh, I love Sumit's hair right now. It's like long. She's like, that was me. I made him do it. I made him grow them out. I was like, oh, that's great. The family cafe is closed. We knew that. We were like, oh, everyone's like, oh, I, would love to see Sumit in America. It'd be great to see him, like having to like contend with all our BS business, and watch you to like get to like show him around. She's like, yeah, he would love that as well. Didn't really quite, like say anything about that. Everyone is media trained. Just like Elise, who just joined the series, still was like, I'm going to distract this fucking not press podcaster with spray. Like, they know how to get out of the situation. So I was like, oh, okay. I'll go back to the story in 1 second. So today, no, it's either Wednesday or Thursday. There starts to be like internet 90 Day Fiancé gossip, street talk. And by street talk, I mean like pictures from Instagrams and videos and captions that are like sent and then like commented and like discussed, and then like where Jenny was having like a health scare. They weren't discussing like what something health wise was wrong with Jenny or like whatnot. So when this was coming out, like the 4 podcasters that were there, me and my friends, are like, what? You just saw her, like what? And then I got sent a video that her daughter is basically saying like, like I'm taking care of my mom, and if you know me, like, I'm doing whatever it takes, and she's like, getting great care. And it was sort of inferred, which is weird to say, but that like maybe Jenny had suffered like maybe a mini stroke or something. And for people who like know me, Chris Farah, you might know that like my dad had a stroke in 2019, right? In November of 2019, my dad had a stroke. He was in Temecula. He got the clot buster. It's like a TP clot buster. And, like it definitely changed the way that he talks and he moves. But he's, fine. But, that was really, really difficult. And so it was like, I feel like learning all that stuff and having just met her and then having her be like, I watch you. And then I know, and then knowing that like, of course she's like advanced in years, a seasoned lady, and we're watching her right now, like having to make coffee and stuff like that, like on an espresso machine, and like not being like so adept at it. Like it's sort of, It's one of those things where, and obviously gives you and me an incredible amount of perspective of what's happening, and then makes me want to not be obviously as mean or harsh or as judgmental as I am, which is why I technically never really want to talk to anyone that's like on the show, just so I could somehow live in a beautiful ignorance of like what my opinion means, which is nothing, right? Nothing. I haven't said many mean things about Jenny, not at all. But at the same time, I know that she, has a scene coming up where she like doesn't give change right for her cafe business, and like the joke is that Jenny is slow on a machine and doesn't know how to do math in her head. And if I know that she's suffering health problems, and I know that she's advanced in years, like how do I talk about that? It's uncomfortable. The same, it's like it's just you know what I'm saying. It's just hard. So all right, my loves. Basically, so Jenny, I loved talking to you. It was the highlight of the night for me. I'm so thankful she's been on the show for so long. Her story's been so crazy. She's still on the show. Like there's so many unanswered questions. I would die to see the fight that happened in the apartment when, Sumit's bride to be found out that like, he was with someone else. I would have died to know more about what was happening when he was catfished. It's such an interesting, obvious couple. Like I just can't believe I got to meet her. Okay, so back at the Millennium Hotel. The night it's like, okay. The party started at 6:30 and I made everyone late in my party. Maybe we roll up at like 7 or something like that. By the time that we leave the Millennium Hotel, it's like 12:30. So I guess it had been like 6 hours. People are very drunk. I guess what happens is like Elise sits down and Florian comes over and sitting next to her and either leans over her or asks her for something or whatever. And Elise is like, stop fucking flirting with me. Your wife's right over there. And Florian is like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm not flirting with you. And then there's like yelling at the fucking hotel bar. And then the hotel bar staff is like, cool, lights on. And then gets us water bottles out, like definitely shoos us out. And Darcy is drunk. Stacy leaves. Florian was like handing something over to Rob and people are like talking about like what had happened or whatever. Elise, okay. I think that Elise has felt what I'm assuming is some sort of like ultimate nirvana feeling where she is so gorgeous, so truly like bombshell sexy that I think that she like operates her life mostly in a mode of like desire, being an object of, or positioning to be an object of. Like I think that it's like a way of maneuvering in this world. And I think Florian moves in a way which is like a little snake that wants to definitely get in some bushes. So do I think that Florian was flirting hardcore with Elise? Not hardcore, but I'm sure that if Florian would let his like coat shift across her leg or such a thing, that it maybe was subtle enough that she was like, can you stop? And also, can you stop flirting with that podcaster in front of all of us? It's awkward. I don't know. But in this moment, I was like, this is all so real. Like if they were filming this right now, this would be like a whole thing. They would have to like get everyone and be like, did Florian flirt with Elise or whatever? And I would just be like, eating popcorn over there, but I'm in the room. And that's why I was like, what would be the show? Like the show would be like, yeah, like 90 Day Fiancé after hours. And it's kind of like what they're trying to do, which I guess is like, they want this is the They are acting, which is okay. What I saw at the Millennium, which is exactly what should happen at the mansion of a tell-all, right? And it's funny because the mansion tell-all parties, after they're back from filming, they're relegated to stick in this mansion, and there's always like a couple that doesn't want to be there, right? Like Alexi and Lauren, who's like, we don't want to be here at all. Like, we can't wait to the moment our contract says we can get the fuck out of here, we will. So it's interesting to be like, what group of Fiancé cast members can exist and want to exist together? Like, either like in this Millennium Hotel one was a mix of married people and singles. Everyone. No, just kidding. Emily and Kobe. But sorry. Okay, so I think though that there's like another version of a 90 Day Fiancé show that is talking about their behaviors and what has happened, and like deep, almost like life talks, like I mean, like, yeah, almost like deep dives, where if you could have it be like an after hours vibe, then maybe you get pockets of weird conversations that are somewhat alcohol fueled or something else fueled. I do think there might have been some coke usage the night that we were there. And I only say that because I might have seen a bloody nose or two. Like, when you're like, see someone like blow their nose, but then like consumption, there's like blood there. I don't think every bloody nose means coke, but I also think that bloody noses with like, lots of intense run-on sentences also could be something. I don't know. Mostly, again, drinking and cigarette smoking. I'm the only person that had, a California pen. In fact, I got judgment from alcoholics about my California pen. So funny. Cultures are so different. I'm always like, I'm so California that like I forget like how many people like will do whatever they want. They will put whatever in their faces. They will put whatever in their bodies, and they'll be like, "Not weed." Are you insane? Okay, not weed. You can't walk. At least like a little toke and you can still walk. What? And to me, whatever, God bless. And at least with weed, you don't smell like you need a Bath and Body Works shower. And I did, God bless. I had a lot of fun. I feel like I was just like, overall, the experience was, again, being like in a virtual reality with the cast of 90 Day Fiancé, feeling like they're all very genuine, feeling like what we see is what we get, in that, like no one is playing at anything. These are all human beings exploring like their wants and desires. And, like a lot of them could be like love. And also like maybe like we like being on TV, like TV is fun. This is a fun party. And it's like we get Instagram followers. I love attention. And I love love, and I love validation. And what is also interesting, if we're talking about this in the same realm of everything, in the same realm of looking for love and 90 Day Fiancé and like the pursuit of love or whatever, if you are in the pursuit of love and you can't quite find it, like certainly like the fake visage of social media adoration can fill a hole. It fills it good, I'm so happy this franchise exists, and I'm so like pumped that I get to like experience it in any way, or like be able to talk about it, or get to go to events about it. Like, I can't believe I had the luck for that. I mean, it was it was so crazy. I'm trying to think if I missed anything. I felt like I talked for so long. Anyway, I'm going to probably have to end talking about the holiday party and get into some 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way and Sister Wives recaps. But I was live on TikTok, so I'm going to end that. And then on YouTube, I'm going to continue talking about the recaps. But I really want to hear what you guys say. And and see if I can jog anything else. So if you're on TikTok, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Please follow me. I make content about 90 Day Fiancé, other pop culture shows, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Sister Wives. And yeah, so follow me here and I will talk to you later. Thank you. Bye. How do I end? How do I end? I don't know how to. Oh, Lord. All right, YouTube. Did that do it? Okay, good. So we can get into a little of this. Hi. Did anyone see my Reddit, my AMA Reddit? So glad to see all the people in the room. Thank you so much for coming in early and saying hi. Oh, yay. Yep. I matched with a 90-day fiance ex-husband. Should I go on the date? I want you to, yes, of course, yes. But also, I'm going to continue to go to see if you actually tell us who it is. And then if you didn't tell us who it is and you're still here, can you give us like a clue? There are 2 lives on your YouTube channel going at once. Huh, weird. Oh my God, this drama is fun. But yeah, after so much dramatic reality television, I missed the original format, yes. Hi. Yep. You all like the fact that she's private, but then why is she at the party? I mean, in the sense that I think that she's going to be coming back on. Kobe's 36. Yeah, Kobe's younger than me. For me being like my brilliant older mentor uncle giving me advice, I was like taking, yeah. Ooh. Listen, he is wise though, and he's an older soul, and he is more mature than me. So age ain't nothing but a number. Florian and yep. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much. I'm sorry that I didn't get to say thank you for that in the moment. I really appreciate that super chat. I finally got my monetization back, which I'm so thankful for. But no, you're the first person to give me a little super chat, little tip since I got that back. So it really, really means a lot. And thank you so much. Mwah. I love you, Vanessa. This new picture is gorgeous. We haven't hung out in a long time. Okay. Did you get any Last Resort season 3 tea? Oh, okay. So Kara and Guillermo are obviously donezo, and I think they might go on Last Resort, but I don't know for sure. But Josh told me that Kara slipped into his DMs last week. And obviously Shekinah and Sarper feel like they're going to be on it. I feel like someone on the Reddit AMA listed who was going to be on Last Resort. And I can't remember if that was an actual list or like someone's fan list. You know what? I'm gonna look it up later. So I want to get into Toe. Do you guys watch Toe? This is the Other Way episode that aired, because obviously I'm late, Monday night. Because I had Tuesday is when I would obviously be able to talk about it. And I was already on a plane to go to New York. I had to leave so early. So obviously worth it. What a night. Also, again, thank you, Reality Gaze. Thank you so much, TLC. Thank you so much, 90 Day Fiancé. I promise you someday I'll say all the syllables. Okay. This is the recap now going on, the live recap of 90 Day Fiancé. The Other Way. It was called Gutted. So let's start with Pitya and Dylan, honey. Now, I'll tell you what Pitya loves: hanging out with Dylan's mom, being forced to see her, hanging out with her. So open on them playing tennis. I think that's really funny. She thinks that Joe is the reason why they aren't married. And mostly because Joe has the ear of her beloved Dylan and will absolutely tell him what to do with his life at every moment, and tells him that 4 times a day. She hates that for him. Okay. And so as, Patia, I can't say her name very well, is trying to play. I'm gonna stop saying it. I'm gonna call her P. As she's trying to play tennis, Joe's kicking her ass. I mean, very good. Joe is, good on that floor. And she's like, well, ask me everything. I'm an open book. And then Joe says that she heard from Dylan that P does not want to live with him by her home or the home of his sister, that she wants there to be a comfortable long distance of at least 40 miles between them so they can't just see each other all the time. And Joe, Dylan's mom, is upset by this, is not happy. It's like, that sucks. Why would you want to rip a family apart? A loving family that loves each other. Why is it your utter goal to rip us apart? You devil. Now, she has a point. Because the truth of the matter is, you either have to understand that you must love the people that your loved one loves and hate the people that they hate. Now, if you hate the people they love, not going to work. You can't love the people they hate either. Not going to work. She hates the people he loves. Now, she has reasons. She's like, they talk too much. And she, tells them what to do. And then we're like, okay, girl, those are his problems. Those are problems for you and him to deal with. But it's like not anything you have to bring to his mom because she's not going to care. She doesn't agree with you. And that's the whole point. She wants her son to agree with her. And so if you want her son to agree with you, don't go to her. It's weird. So Joe is obviously deeply weirded out and offended by the fact that P would even think it's okay to say out loud that she doesn't want to live by Joe. Especially because in Joe's mind, she's like, you see that my son and I are so close. I can't do that accent. You see that our son and I are so close. Like, why, how, like, what leg do you have to stand on that, like, that's not good for you? And who cares about what you think? If it's fine for us, it should be fine for you. And again, therein lies the rub. It's not fine for her, and it's very fine for Dylan. So immediately, P's like, yeah, but you influence him, and you advised him against selling his properties. And Joe's like, yeah, of course I did. I told my son not to sell his not to sell his properties to solve your problems. And she's like, well, my problem is his fault. And Joe's like, no, it's not. It's like this thing where, I hate to say this, it feels like people are operating under incorrect contract terms. P is like, if we're going to get married and my debt is your debt and we're going to live the rest of our lives together and then just pay off my debt, you should be taking care of me. You're the man, I'm the woman, that kind of thing. But they can't have kids. And so he's like not paying for like the life they're creating. He's just solving her like midlife financial problems. Because unless she's like bringing to the table something that also feels really has a lot of equity, like let's just say it was a business. If she came with like a lot of construction know-how or a great network of Tasmanian woodworkers, real estate agents, let's just say that she was like an expert cook and cleaner and was just super fucking domestic and also a lover of family, only existed to make his life easier. Let's just say that she was a working woman with her own income, and it was less than his, but they were going to have a life together and perhaps children together. All of these things, I think, would give her a little more footing to be like, no, we're doing this together. Let's fucking do this together. But she's not. And I hate to say that because I'm a feminist. She's a seasoned woman who's coming here with only debt. She doesn't have like any knowledge of like his business. And she said this, doesn't cook. Like he cooks for them. She cooks, but like, it's like, I guess she feels like she doesn't, there's a reason why she's not cooking. He's like, I don't want you to cook because you use too much oil or something like that. I think there would have to be a little bit of a sacrifice for her to be like, okay, well then I'm going to make things healthier. I'll use less oil, or I will measure the oil for you. He's a macro hound or whatever, but the truth of the matter is with those macros and shit like that, like to me, yes, you have to measure oils, fats, proteins, and carbs. You just have to like somewhat keep abreast of those things, like what you're using to cook with. It's like fresh vegetables or whatever, like how you cooking it and like what things. It's not, I mean, you could build recipes in MyFitnessPal and make things. All that to say, she's not doing that. She really is. And she's not going to have kids with him. All she is doing is being like, take this debt from me. You caused it. I think that she needs to also, like a conspiracy theory person, actually have a whiteboard and give us the direct line of exactly why he owes the money. You made me move to Thailand. I sold this. I then gave you all of my money to put as the deposit on this apartment that while we were there, you fucked up in so many ways that when we left, I didn't get that deposit back. And then I moved to America with nothing. Like, you play me out. Like, so or you moved to Thailand with all the money that you had, saved and gotten out. And then you lived off of your money while you were there. Like, if you could just give me one little something to understand like what the fuck it is, I truly would be happy. None of it. So, and maybe that'll come. So she again goes to Joe and is like, we need to set boundaries. You need, you can't have we can't have you guys talking 3 times a day. I just feel like you're a needy mother, Joe. And then Joe's like, well, I'm quite strong. I won't be cast as needy. And what the fuck? She doesn't say this, but like, does this bitch not know that Dylan's the one calling me? And that's also like, that's also interesting. Dylan is calling her. He is a grown ass man. He is, obviously wanting to talk to his mommy. It is very obvious. Is Petya saying it's on you, Joe, for not cutting off the cord? Or is it Joe being like, my son wants to talk to me? What? Like, I'm going to say no to my son? I love my son. No, I'm not going to say no to my son. I'll say no to you. The streets are like, Petya has children that we don't talk about. And obviously we met her nephew. I'm like, what? Which brings us to the fact that, guess what? There's a secret. There is a secret. There's a secret we've been hiding from Dylan. Who knows what it is? Let's guess. More debt? She's pregnant. No, I'm just kidding. What if she was? I don't know. Lawsuit. Like a DUI or something. I don't want that for her, but it popped in my brain. I said it out loud. Only like something, I said that something that would need even more money. Secret. I want it to be something outlandish. What if she was like, I'm bi? Huh. That's obviously not outlandish, but why it is outlandish in this context is because I said it exactly how Sophie told Rob that she was bi, which is that I'm bi. I always feel like I could, it's on the table for a secret to be told. I think it's more debt. Yeah, I mean, if this is like, episode 14 And she is just now, after all of these debt conversations, being like, you know what I should come clean with? I have more debt. I don't know what to do. And if that's like the reason why she kept thinking it'd be like really easy to talk him into like selling a property, I don't know. If she has more debt, at this point, instead of telling him, I would just pack my fucking shit and leave, because I don't understand what she thinks he's going to do. If she tells him that he has more debt, and then he turns around and just is like, you know what, baby, I love you. Let's get married. I'm going to sell anything I need to sell to, get rid of this burden for you. Wouldn't that be the ultimate, like, what? Anyway. When Petia talks to Dylan, he says that she is making it a big deal, and that P is not close to her mom or her kids. And Dylan's like, I wish you would be worried about your $20,000 debt as much as you're worried about my mom. And again, that's when she's like, that's your fault. And she thinks that he's a narcissist. It's interesting because like some of the OC, some of the obsessive compulsive behaviors and some of like the rigidness of his lifestyle and like some of his like judgment is interesting if she's going to bring up the N-word, the narcissist word. Narcissist word, not the N-word. Because, obviously that word's thrown, the narcissist in calling someone a narcissist is thrown out, a bunch of different ways. And like, there are a variety of different qualities that is like that, like someone who only thinks of themselves, who doesn't have empathy for anyone else, who can only like see, things for being good or bad, or closer or farther away from their own goals, and whatever people or things that line in their way are just merely pawns to get closer to their goals to be used. Sometimes though, there is like a sort of like rigidness in how you see the world, black and white, because there's a certain kind of like easier way to label yourself as better than others if things are black and white. If there's good or bad, black and white, worthy, unworthy, then you in your mind can sort of like position yourself as mostly being a beacon of all that is good, worthy, and such. Or I guess you can position yourself to being conversely all that's bad or not worthy. But I feel like when you think of like surgeons, lawyers, kind of like any of these like cerebral kind of narcissists that are hyper focused, hyper regimented, like they get up at 5 a.m., they like exist on 4 hours of sleep, for some reason, like they run on treadmills. I'm going to tell you this right now. I think anyone who can sustain running on a treadmill for like longer than like 1 mile or 5 minutes, like people who like can just zone the fuck out on a treadmill, I think are some of the craziest people in the world. I really do. And I'm not saying all cardio machines. I'm specifically saying treadmills. I don't know why. I think it's the fact that I find it crazy that someone's going to get over like the hyper like bounce effect of a treadmill and like be okay with like that pounding. You ignore that pounding in such a way, the jarring effect of your whole body back on gravity and on your knees and your face as you're like, cheeks bounce up and you're down. I'm up and down. I mean, can you imagine my boobs? I hate it. I hate it so much. But yeah, like the thought of being able to sustain that or wanting to sustain that for any long a period of time, I think those people are fucking crazy. Anyway, so all that to say, I'm not a doctor like of psychology. So anything I say about whatever I think about someone's personality is moot fucking points. Okay. She, however, thinks that maybe he's a narcissist from this moment. And that's when he's like, well, listen, obviously my relationship with my mom is not going to change. So you're going to have to change. And she's like, I got a secret. Something's coming over. Something's coming over me. My baby's got a secret. Okay. Manon and Anthony, honey. Okay, so Ben is sleeping with his grandparents, which is great. Did you hear that? Ben is now unattached from Anthony and can experience sleep with other people. Such good news, right? So anyway, so now we're on the hunt for Anthony to deliver another grand gesture that fits the bill, that makes Manon feel seen, happy, pursuit of happiness, valued, loved, whatever, taken care of. The goat cheese farm wasn't it. She didn't dress appropriately. She was in her normal style of business casual, not good. Obviously, the mime thing, was not. Really took down the value of the entire art form for miming, and the entire country of France was insulted. So, round 3, and 3 strikes you're out. Which, by the way, ADHD mind, has anyone watched the Puff Daddy P. Diddy doc? I'm in like episode 3, because you like look up things and you're like, oh, that, I wrote that, oh, that. I was like, why is Suge Knight in jail again? Like, what is it? Like, how does he? Yeah, he's just like in Suge Knight's in jail. This is why I'm talking about this, because of a hit and run, and yeah, because of the 3 strikes law. I was like, oh yeah, just this hit and run was the thing. Anyway, God bless. 3 strikes. Okay, 3 strikes. Anthony has 3 strikes to get it right with Manon, and they had a fight. They're on their way to going to a hotel, but they had a fight, and it's over the fact that they went to like some little shop, and she saw seashell earrings, and she wanted them, and she was like, give me your wallet. Je voudrais your wallet, s'il vous plaît. And he was like, well, I don't have it. And she was like, you know your fucking wallet? The man are you? Okay. And then as they leave the whatever place, he flashes his wallet like, got you, bitch. I just don't want to buy anything for you. I had it. She's pissed. You know what? I would be too. Oh, you don't have to fucking lie to me. I'm sorry, I'm a grown-ass person, especially if I'm saying out loud and on TV that I'm making the money for us. Then if I say, give me a goddamn wallet, you give me a wallet. It's my money. Oh, great. Then I remember specifically for you, when you want something, that when you ask for it, I will be like, oh, weird. What wallet? What money? What checking account? Poof. I don't know where it is. Honey, I became a Manon fan. Don't you know it? So, she's like, it's shitty what you did. Also, you just like always assume I'm a bitch. And here's the thing, Manon. We do have to like be okay with people coming at you, with trepidation for some of the things that we've seen. But she thinks that he's sabotaging them by doing so. One second. Okay, my loves. So, she says, stop assuming I'm a bitch. It feels like you are self-sabotaging this relationship. And so they get to the hotel. The hotel is a sex work hotel. It's like a love hotel. I mean, I'm saying, God bless. Now there's a huge jacuzzi, not the kind of jacuzzi that's in the same room as like when when Gino went to go visit his Natalie in Vegas, and she had that hotel room and the jacuzzi was like right by the bed. And you were like, oh my God, that means the sheets are wet. It's gross. This one was huge in a different room. And I respected that. I enjoyed that. So she loves it. She's like, okay, jacuzzi, kind of gross room, but it's big. And he's like, I have a cherry on top. Don't you worry. So he's like,
I was in the service. I was in the army, and she loves a man in uniform. So he puts on his fatigues, and he comes out, honey, and Manon laughs. She laughs like like she is a giddy schoolgirl. Like she laughed like she was at a tropic or like at a Thunder Down Under concert. She really does like a man in a uniform, and she got hot and bothered. It was a switch. It was like, oh, okay, I like this jacuzzi. Oh, she, honey, got turned on. And then there was like a bunch of them like being romantic together, just getting in that jacuzzi, calling each other hot, feeling on each other, kissing. So it's an interesting hotel. It's like weird because, you know, I wouldn't want to have sex in a sex work hotel. And I don't like the fact that there's no windows. I think the fact there's no windows or no doors, no windows creeps the fuck out of me or whatever. I also feel like most hotel rooms are let me say it back. It's not hard to find a sexy hotel room. And by sexy, I mean pretty, like luxurious, like nice. It's not hard to find one. It's expensive for sure. And maybe that's it. Maybe this was cheap. But a cheap sex hotel, I can't possibly think that that's going to be something that will work for the intended purpose. If that's the intended purpose, then just let's stay home and just make sure there's a really good playlist on, you know what I'm saying? I do think they get a little freaky though. I think that they were kind of trying to test the waters of being sex dungeon to be you guys, you have no idea. Okay, moving on to Chloe and Johnny. So this is a obvious scene where a baby is taught a lesson. And the lesson is you can't just assume and pretend that you know how life works without any rhyme or reason or experience and just be surprised that it's not how you think it's going to go. And that's a really hard thing to get. I think that we assume we know a lot. And it's like the opposite of imposter syndrome, which is funny how we all can contain multitudes, but you just assume you know more than you do. And so you're yeah, I can just fucking move to a country and get the visa and get the work permit in a couple of weeks, just be making thousands of dollars. You're just oh no. Nope. I feel in a very micro way, things always take longer and are more complicated than I would ever assume. It's just always just hey, I gotta change my one number on my health insurance profile, but it's oh no, you have to write the health insurance company with a proof of ID and your passport. Do you have your whole birth chart? And also you talk to your mom, make sure you get your mom to write too. You're I hate my mom, I don't know how to talk to her. I'm talking about. And no, she won't write me anything. And unless I gave her money for it, I can't do it. So she it's everything always requires way more than you think. So it's always interesting to me. And also when others and or myself get caught in the trap of disassuming and being oh, huh. Chloe really assumed it'd be really easy, but they go to this immigration lawyer. And yeah, at one point, just even going into the immigration lawyer, Chloe's cactus, touch. And Johnny has to be don't touch that. And there's a part of me that's Johnny, I think it's funny that you're telling your baby 20-year-old girlfriend as you walk into an immigration lawyer's office who you might try and marry at some point, that she probably should think twice about touching a whole cactus. I don't know, just funny. I think it's funny. I thought it was funny. Don't touch that. Oh. Should we get married? What? Okay. So Anthony is the lawyer, and they basically are look, you can either get married and make your lives really easy temporarily for just the opportunity for her to get, a work situation and for you not to have any distance or time between you. So yes, it'd be easier for you to get married, but also horrible. You would ruin your whole life because you would have to suddenly get married to this person, and no, it's bad. Don't do it. The other way is for you to spend $600, and you have to like, she has to spend time in America, and then you have to go through a long distance relationship, and then maybe it'll work out or whatever. And as we know, Chloe's like, that won't work. Not us, not long distance, not that one, not that cheater. Mm-mm. Um, I this is so funny. Hey Chris, are you gonna be partial about talking about the 90 Day cast now that you met them? Like you won't mention Darcy's face anymore? I want to hear all your commentary. I'm trying to think. I absolutely will. Like I'm trying to like Darcy's face is one thing. I feel like the meanest I was, oh, not meanest. I for a long time could not get over Darcy's hair. I mean, if you remember, like I remember just basically being like, why is her hair so bad? Like why, and by the way, her hair is 100% better now, has been was great the entire like happily ever after season. In comparison to when she started bleaching up and putting all the extensions in it, and then she had her natural like texture being like really frizzy here. I never understood, right? And like Stacey's hair looked better. So okay, having said that, I think I'm going to talk about looks and aesthetic choices. If you make an aesthetic choice, I will discuss it. I think it's a fodder. I'm not going to be probably like mean to Jenny, if I was to be honest, ever again. And I'm not saying I ever was mean to Jenny, but I think I'm probably going to tiptoe around Jenny, if I was to be honest with you, and I think you would too. I think that if you met like a very lovely elder lady who was like, "I've watched you," and I was like, "Thank you so much," and then heard that maybe she had had a little mini stroke, and your dad, your favorite person in your life, also had a mini stroke, maybe yeah, I can't be like, stupid Jenny can't count change. I mean, no. If she doesn't want to do anything, fine, Jenny, fine. I mean, at this point, I'm like, what am I going to say about Jenny? If Jenny doesn't want to do anything now, she shouldn't have to do it. She should be recovering, doing whatever the fuck she wants. So unless she's, I don't know. I don't know. You tell me what you would do. Hi, yikes. Okay. So when they're at the immigration lawyer, Chloe and Johnny, they're discussing whether, what's good for their relationship. And obviously, we all know they can't get married. It'd be horrible, but they're supposed to be like, well, that's the only viable option. And Chloe's like, I'm ready to get married. And her mom's like screaming from Boston, like, no, no, you're not, he's like, well, listen, I mean, I could take care of you, just like not with your current spending habits, also I've been hurt before. My ex-girlfriend left me for someone who could provide a better life, and I fear that at the end of the day that's what you're going to do. And she will. That's a valid fear. She will. I hate to say it, Johnny, but I just don't see it. I just don't see it, buddy. There's not, I don't think, a realm in this world in which Chloe wouldn't find another nice looking man who like had a hot water heater, and she'd be like, oh yeah, no, he has a car and a hot water heater, buddy, I'm gonna drive his extra car, and I'm gonna just take some hot showers. But it's been a jolly good time. Boop, and Johnny is older than her, so he knows it. And he's just ignoring the screaming red flags in his mind. So that all happens on the show all the time. Like, I feel like the major part of the show is watching people sometimes ignore the screaming red flags that we see right now. And it's fucked up because we're seeing it as it happens. It's being edited in such a way. We're getting close up, so we definitely know what's up or whatever. But the question always is like, why? Why doesn't he see that? Or why does he think that this is going to work out? Like, why doesn't he know that she's 20 nothing and he's 30 more, and like that she comes from she comes from privilege, and you know she's going to want to live like that for the rest of her life. And just because you guys like to hang out and have like kind of easy conversations, and also you find her attractive and like want to have sex with her, like that fundamentally it's not a thing. It's hard though, because there's a lot of like hormones involved and a lot of like wishing and like wanting and a lot of like deep eye looking and a lot of like willing something to be other. But it's easy, right? From our vantage point to be like, no. And definitely easy when you're her mom to be like, absolutely fucking not. Not my daughter. Did anyone else hear that Johnny has 5 kids? No, I didn't hear that. And if that's true, how could we never talk about it? I mean, how could that not be? How? How could he talk about his mom dying and all that stuff and not ever about one of them kids? How could like Chloe's mom bring up like one time that he invited some dumb girl to Florida and not be like, "Hi, you have 5 kids?" No. Is that true? Now I'm gonna find that out. Okay, so obviously I've saved the worst for last, just like Vanessa Williams sang. You went and saved the worst for last. Because how could you make us talk about Greta and Matthew and all their sad breakup scenes? He loves her so much and she's so over it, and he doesn't seem to get it. Okay, Johnny, 5 kids. How am I going to find this person? Johnny's name is Johnny. Oh no. Johnny, 5 kids. 90 day. I'm going to be wildly frustrated this is true. No. Wait. Okay, this is... Wait, that's not it. That was not it. I got just bamboozled. Okay. The OP wrote, Johnny has multiple kids. I believe 4 kids live in Aruba with their mom and 2 live in the States. Apparently, Johnny has 6 kids. What? Now one says 6. Oh my God. Is this real life? A Redditor. Okay, let's talk about this. We don't know if this is true or not. This is the streets. This is where it gets shitty. This is where, like, honestly, when I was talking about the streets, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about, I have to now just like read to you Instagram posts that are pictures from Reddit. Okay, so who knows if this is true? I don't know. This is why like the Jenny thing made me crazy. And I was like, but come on. Okay. A Redditor claims he has 6 kids. Johnny has multiple kids. I believe 4 live in Aruba and with their mom, 2 live in the States. I wouldn't put it past her, but there's empirical evidence in front of her that a baby will not force him to settle down. Okay, the person said, I met Johnny in Aruba on the Jolly Pirate and heard it from his own mouth. Don't worry, I don't wear dental floss, and my husband was present on the said excursion. The show is highly edited. My guess is his family life doesn't fit the narrative. Yes, it does fit the narrative. This is why this doesn't make any sense to me. Because then she's like, I'm guessing it doesn't fit the narrative that what is Johnny's narrative? That he's a straight, upcoming guy that like is full of promise. Unfortunately, the show is absolute full of twists and turns. If there is any kids from that man, the producers know about it. And they're like waiting to like show Chloe like, how many kids that she's about to be a stepmom to. And I honestly can't believe they wouldn't let that be known while her mom was still there, because we all know right now in our minds, we're picturing her mother's reaction to this information and we're fiending at the mouth, drooling to think about what it would look like. Bad. I mean, at this point, I'm like, is this where, not Joe, but her mom's name is Michelle, I don't know, like grabs her ear and just like brings her back to Boston, like one of those like bad kids from the 1950s. Remember when moms would do that? You never see that anymore, but for some reason there was like this horrible trope all the time that like moms, when they needed kids to do something, would just grab their ear and like pull them away. Did that fucking ever happen? Like, that's not a real thing, right? Is like, why an ear? Why not their hand? I don't know. Anyway. Okay. I just like I cannot imagine in which that would be information that exists. Kids, like those are records, they could exist. I cannot fucking imagine that wouldn't be part of the show because it's too good not to be. Anyway, so it's real. My mom did that to us. I mean, listen, if that is the ultimate sharp turn, when we get sharped, when like we're about to get a little sharp with, Petty as like secret, right? Like, whatever it is. Like if it's the debt, it's not that big of a secret. Like if Petty just has more debt than what she initially said, it's gonna be like ugh, boring a little bit. Because it's like, oh, just more of it. I mean, yes to heightening, but also like it's a lot more of the same. Like, these kinds of sharp moments are unfortunately really great when they come out of goddamn left field and you're like, what? And yeah, for sure, if Johnny was like, Chloe, before we get married, before like to say no to your mom and like giving up your entire like family dynasty, to come live in Aruba with me in my cold showered house, I just need you to know that, are you okay? I have 6 kids. Because here's the other like real question, real thought, real thing. You have, and that's not a like, okay. When you get married, you have to talk about financial stuff. So Chloe, you can't be like, oh, I'm gonna get married to someone and not know what their thing is. If you have 6 kids, there's such thing as like child support. And like I don't know how it is in Aruba. I don't know how it is, for if there even is kids and where they live or whatnot, or what the laws are, wherever the kids live. But I mean, you would have to assume that someone's salary then is going to go for other things. And that's another thing. He has 6 kids and he's a jolly pirate. And also then you were like, okay, is if this is all true and he has 2 kids that live in America, is that the lady that he went to go visit in Florida? And is he a little bit like, this is my last question. And is he a little bit like, I can't go to America and live forever because then I'd be on the hook for child support and America laws? I don't know. You have to now tell me. I'll tell you that of that one post I sent to you, or I just read to you, there's only 4 comments and none of them are like, oh my God. And this is a post from 7 weeks ago. That's another thing. This post I read to you is 7 weeks old. So how come we would not know more? Like, wouldn't there be more information by now? I don't know, you guys. You really like got me crazed. Okay. Greta and Matthew. Again, let's end on a really sad note. Like a minor key. Okay. We're in the middle of the breakup over vegan shepherd's pie. And she's trying to lead the flock away from her. Leave her pasture. Please go explore other pastures. She's saying, run, you're free. In fact, bye. And he is like, no, but I love you. She's like, she is doing a good job of like not being too mean, but there's a part of her brain and a part of his brain that it knows that she has to be a little clear, that she has to say the thing, that she has to be, how do I say that, direct enough so that the message is relayed. And so she is like, I just don't love you anymore. And then he has to just let that wash over him like a Bath and Body Works spray, just like wishing the entire world would swallow his body whole and like nestle him like safely in a realm somewhere where no one could get to him, like no smell and no pain. In this moment, it's silent. He pets a cat. She notices that because it brings them both comfort. And he says, thank you for being honest. I mean, I love this Greta and Matthew. I really do. This is so interesting to me. A lot of people have like divisive answers about them. I love them on the show. I feel like they have such like a smallness about them and such a truth and a realness. I'm obsessed with this. This is a very painful scene. And he pets a cat and says, thank you for being honest. And like, not every breakup is like, fuck you, or cry, cry, cry and run away, or like, I mean, there's all of the like horrible moments of having to break up with someone and then being broken up with. And he's experiencing obviously a lot of horrible moments because as he says, he did not see it coming. He just did not see. He's like, pardon me for being vulgar. He's like, this bitch fucking told me exactly how life was going to go, how all of our kids, what their names are going to be, what they were going to do. She's sending me up close pictures of her nude, her clitties. I'm seeing all of it. She shaves every night, shows me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to tell you. I am in it. And out of the blue, she like pulls it all away. Those nudes. I lived and died by those nudes. Every day I would wonder, like, where's the little plug gonna be now? It'd be in a new hole and I'd be so happy. And sometimes it'd be like similar holes, once holes I've seen before, but like it's always new to me. Like Matthew's like, how am I gonna he's really going through it. I'm making light of this, but it's really, really sad. Sometimes relationships are like 70-30, 80-20. I wonder that like, okay, that idea of like being in a relationship and either knowing both of you directly or indirectly that the percentage of effort or commitment or love or in itness or is like not equal, that one of you feels significantly more or less than the other, is such a weird thing to think of. Like, I'm going to be in a relationship with someone who I know loves me 80% and I like them 20%. And conversely, it's also wild to be like, I love him so much. I know he can leave me at any time. He doesn't really love me. But until that moment, I'm going to give everything and happily subside on a couple of crumbs. I think that one exists a lot more, but I don't think they're as cognizant of like how much they're not being loved. I think that you sort of trick yourself into thinking they love me. No, this little crumb means 100%. Like, I think that crumbs will mean more so than a person truly on the lower end accepting and being okay with being like, this person only loves me 10%. I'm obsessed with them, have always been for the rest of my life, will be obsessed with them. And our relationship thusly goes that I love them, I worship them, and, they like me 10%. And that's good enough for me. The power dynamic of that is so confusing. It's also just like fucked up because at the end of the day, it sort of feels like you don't love yourself then, or you don't trust that you can find someone that will love you. Or that you are so obsessed with the other person that none of that matters, which then begs questions about like because obviously the idea of like a healthy, happy relationship, like one where you like grow old together or like you're best friends and all this stuff like that, like, I mean, is most of the time equal. I mean, and I'm assuming that like you go through ebbs and flows where like the percentages like shift, but like they can't be like years and years and years where it's like 3/4 one side, 1/4 the other way, because though that to me isn't like two whole functioning adults. In either way, like it feels like someone who is okay biding their time, wasting their precious life source, their precious time to be with someone they don't care about. I mean, maybe I'm assuming maybe there's other things like fame or money. I don't know what that person has. Um, and maybe that alone makes them like, well, all of it is worth it. But I guess I wonder how many honest conversations both members of that relationship have with each other and themselves, knowing and sitting in the knowledge that it's not equal and that therefore the power dynamic is off. And also, it's indicative that both of you are choosing this instead of choosing something that is like romantically fulfilling and like supported and, I don't know, just an actual relationship. You can't just be with a taker. It's weird. Um, so she hears that. She's already said, like, I don't love you anymore and I don't want to be with you. And she's already said, I don't want to have kids with you. And he's like, yeah, but just have the kids and then I'll take care of everything, all of them, all the time. You don't have to do anything. And she's like, oh my God. Okay. Greta, from America, Hazel's mom, I cannot move forward in the relationship with you, Matthew, England, Devonshire, whatever. Uh, with a great mom and a great grandma. I can't move forward with this. Are we on the same page now? Like, it's hard though, because then we get to this kind of like piece of information. Now, I hate this piece of information for two things. A, because if it's not brought up or whatever, then we're going to have to discuss it, but it reminds me of this. You know how they say like no is a complete sentence? Right? Like they say, people, that no should be a complete sentence. That if you say no to something, someone, whatever, that you could just be like, no. Somehow live in enough grace and strength to just stop talking, just breathe and look back at the other person. I mean, I don't know how you do that. I've never fucking done it in my entire life. I cannot do it. In fact, I had to go like this. No, because I can't. I'm so sorry. I just absolutely cannot. I have so much. It's okay. Here's the thing. It's a me thing. It's like what I'm going to work through. I'm working through it. Right. I need, I cannot, because of like, I get really intense. I get really, so, I can't do it. So like, that's like me talking, right? Like, and the problem is, it's like, all that does is give someone ways to get in there to shut you the fuck up with their own ideas or whatever. And so, okay. Greta is like, it's just not, as you know, and this is where she starts to talk. This is where she should have, but she doesn't. She starts to explain. She's like, as you know, when I was back in America, I just like didn't want to like tell you about my life anymore, and I just wasn't really excited to talk to you anymore, and like I just felt like things were off and things weren't like the same. And then I thought, no, Greta, it's fine. Just keep petting Hazel, and then when you get to England, it'll all work out. But Matthew, I got here and you didn't pick me up. Obviously, from the airport. In fact, when I got there, you like told me I smelled. It made no fucking sense, because like you could have just picked me up from Heathrow and I would not have smelled, and you would have gotten my luggage. And I don't know if you had maybe found some apartments or a list thereof and maybe cleaned out a drawer, I would feel different. But I didn't. All that happened. I got there and I did not want to touch you. And so I didn't. And he's like, but it's been 3 or 4 days. And then now the streets of Reddit are like, or the streets of TikTok or whatever are like, Greta, you're so crazy. It's been 3 days. Why don't you just like give it a chance? And she's like, bitch, this is before the 90 days, but this isn't like my first time meeting this asshole. I've been meeting this asshole. What are you talking about? He's limp. I can't do it. I don't want to have sex with him. I don't want to have sex with him, TikTok. So Matthew and TikTok, if Greta says that I don't want to be here anymore, you can't try and talk me into it by being like, wait longer. I've already waited and I know what I want inside me and it's not him. You know what I'm saying? Like, Greta seems emotionally devastated to be having this conversation, and she seems like she is a wherewithal person. She says things like this might be a very big decision or mistake that she's making, but I think that when she says that, I think that she's saying that to be kind to him. I think that that little like, this might be the biggest mistake of my life. I don't really feel like she feels that way. I think that she knows that she's saving her life right now. And I think that she just gives him a little like parting gift. Because Matthew isn't a bad man, of course. Matthew will make a great father if he wants to be a father someday or not. I hope so. You know, he seems like a very nice man. I mean, he's a great cat dad, I think. I mean, I'm assuming the cats have more space than a drawer, but I'm saying, like, Matthew is a fine person. Greta, I think, like, she's a grown woman. She's dated this person for a long time. She's seen him. This isn't the first time. She knows what she wants, and she's staring at the face and has been in the same space with an entity for the past four days that she realizes that she does not want. And every scene with his lovely parents talking about how they've accommodated her veganism is like stabs in the heart. Because she's like, oh, great. Now I found a beautiful family that can't wait to have my vegan ass in that family, making like my homemade Christmas ornaments. They're going to put on all the trees. And, she's like, I don't want this. And I like grew up, I would have loved to have like a bunch of people want to be around me and think I'm cool and just love me. And now she, God bless. It must be really hard for her. It's a very devastating scene. I love it. I mean, I don't love it for them. So much pain. Truly, truly so sorry. But at the same time, like, I think that this is like a great television scene. Like, is this not it? Like, is this not like seeing a lot of real feelings? And also that these people allowed their lives to be filmed, because finding love is difficult. And like everyone experiences that. And like no matter what country or like what they end up doing to their face, or how they do their hair, whatever. It's like people will bypass red flags. People will, uh, people will like live in like weird dream lands, wanting like an idealized version of like what they were told as a child without having like 10 toes down and like what really and ultimately exists. A, in their own world, and B, like, with their relationship. Yeah, that was the end of this episode. And then I wanted to talk quickly about Sister Wives. And then this would be the longest episode ever. And then we can, call it a little night. I thank you guys so much for being on this live with me for the past 2 hours and 12 minutes. If you haven't yet, please like this video. Please subscribe to this channel. Make sure that you are tickling my algorithm with, lots of like comments and loves. I will be able to respond to all comments for sure once the video is posted. I just try and keep a little bit of a pace so that it's not a nightmare for people who are listening to the replay, even though obviously I stumble over words and I can't say 90-day fiance as well as one should for having talked about it as long as I have. All right, Sister Wives. Hi. I love you so much. We used to be lovers. So Mary and Amber get to Vegas for their speed dating, and the speed dating looks like it's at Top Golf, but it's at a place called Atomic Golf, which is like a indoor. Did I say ski? Speed dating. No, but it's a golf date at Atomic Golf in Las Vegas, and it's a golf. It's like Top Golf, but it's we just hit balls into like the ether, and there's a bar attachment, and the bar looks kind of like a Dave and Buster's. It's very dark, and there's a lot of like purple lighting. Like it was so dated. It was so, I don't know what's the word. I don't like it. I felt like it was a very junky space. Their big thing though is this Mary loves the idea of this speed dating thing being like technically focused because for some reason she really got bought in on the fact that they like do some sort of special, tech heavy matchmaking where they just basically get a questionnaire and then like see what person around that person's age who answered like something around that person is around. And by the way, we find out that one option is that they won't even get a match, which, sorry, that's the spoiler alert. I'm only saying this because can you believe that this is what the storyline has been for Mary? We've already seen her at a speed dating event. We'll find out where Jen's been, but now there's been an Amber alert, a brand new character named Amber who's now part of the scene. She's dating with Amber now. They're at this stupid place. They are wearing sunglasses and they are trying to like, I guess, flirt. Mary is like, yeah, flirting is hard because, when you're married, you can't flirt. Like, I think that flirting is a form of cheating. And Mary says that on TV. And we're all like, well, what do you think? Like getting involved with like a person on the internet that you haven't even ever seen or met in real life. And then telling that person you will leave your husband. Like, what's that catfish? I mean, I wondered why the producers weren't like, would you say that you then cheated, Mary, when you were involved in a catfish situation? And I would need Mary to be like, yep. I actually would give Mary like full props if she did that. So, but yeah, basically they have one of these little like carousels where then the producers ask every female like how flirting is like in a polygamous situation. How do you deal with flirting? Like Mary and Christine say like, you don't flirt. And Janelle's like, I'm fine if Cody had to flirt with other people. Like, I'm assuming we all are flirting. He'd give me a little wink. We're like, oh no. And that is a foreshadowed wink. So Robin's like, well, as we all know, Cody's obsessed with me. So he's very demonstrative. Like I literally have to pull his fingers from my vagina all the time. He wants to get up in there. He can't stop touching me all the time. It ruined 3 of his marriages. Haven't you heard? Anyway, we're like, yeah, Robin, we did. So Mary is back in her filling out her forms for her matchless match. And they're like, on a scale of 1 to 10, like, how are you for kinky sex? And Mary says a 1. And I don't believe that. Okay, so I don't know. I think that maybe she is a 1 if she hasn't ever tried anything. But I think there should be like a secondary part of that question, which is what is your current level of kink experience? And what is your desired level or curious and desired level of kink experience? Because I think when Mary answered a 1, it was maybe like her just a current level of experience. But if like Mary was to really answer what she would she be into, like a 6. Like a 6. Okay. Like I think Christine is by far the most vanilla. Obviously. David? Okay. In one of the best moments, Robin is like, I feel really bad for people having to go through the dating process right now. She says it and then she gives a look that can only be described as the smuggest smug of like the entire world. It was just like, I did it. I never have to be single again. But you know who does? Every one of Cody's wives. Ha ha ha. I'm better. Like it did feel like that. She's like the smartphone just annihilated any sort of connection anyone could have. And then I'm also mad at her because I think that she's right. She says it's slim pickings for mostly women. Most women and doesn't want a bald like man, like his funny thing is I like bald men. They talk about like Mary doesn't want a bald man for some reason. I think bald men are fine. Great. I think hair is great too. Like I don't know what it's always interesting to feel like what people find attractive and they don't find attractive. I think the only kind of like hair thinning on men that is distracting is like is like the Donald Trump kind where you're like it is bald and where you and everything is, fighting against it. Like the only time it's bad, it's like when there's comb overs and things where you're like, oh no. I mean, it's like it's if we talk about plastic surgery and Darcy's face or whatever, like that's fine. It is distracting. But I can't like have conversations with men who have like comb over. Like like it's very hard. Like I can't do it. I had this like wild experience where I had to like listen to this casting director in New York be like an obviously creepy, predatory fucking weirdo and tell stories about how many young males this man has helped fresh out of Yale. And he is like 65 plus, something like that. And I mean, it's like it's like my fucking forehead. If I took I mean, this, fine, but like I do have like you can make fun of people, it's fun. I do have a big forehead, but it's like I'm also not doing this to try and distract you from my forehead. I'm not like, oh guys, nothing to see here. If you're like, what is that, Chris? Why do you always have your hair in one like Justin Bieber swoop? And I was like, no, it's like how like it grew out that way. It's just like my hair, like always just plastered there. I mean, even me doing this right now, I feel like doesn't even do the grace of what I'm trying to say. It actually looks better because I mean, I don't know what to say. It's like, you know what I'm talking about, obviously. I think that like comb overs are the plastic surgery of men that don't get plastic surgery. It is cringy. It is embarrassing. It is holding on to something that they should fucking let go of. It's like we see it. So it's like even, I don't know, it's even worse because there's better plastic surgeries out there than there's comb overs. And the truth of the matter is, and I mean, you could just, I guess, get plastic surgery. I mean, I hate to say that. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying just go bald, truly. But if you're going to like choose between fucking not going bald and then trying to like every day place long ass hairs across a shiny field and then plaster them there with whatever fucking hair products you as an older male think are going to work throughout the day, they don't. They don't. And men, historically, truly, are so viciously judgmental about women's bodies that I think that it's fine for us to be truthful about certain things. Shave your fucking head. Enjoy it. There's so many hot bald men. It's not like, please. Okay. There are so many like people. It's a shitty, I guess, way. It's a shitty like balance of finding like what makes you feel confident and like what is naturally you and what is like also radically accepting where you are, in life and stuff like that. And I think that like, must be a journey to find it or whatever. But like, I think that as we like, people need to tell people no more comb overs. So as Mary and Amber are discussing these things, they are like in the corner and then also asking if they look closed off. Yes, you're alone in the corner. No one wants to talk to you guys. Also, you don't really or look that like welcoming. It's always so interesting, right? Like we've all had the experience of going into a bar or going into a party and feeling awkward, right? And then also being like, no one looking at me. Oh, doesn't, there's always like this feeling of like looking around and being like, are people going to come talk to me? Do I look weird? I'm just going to act like normal. And the funny thing is, you can't act normal. You can't try to act like you're having fun. You can't try and act approachable. You can't try to act sexy. You just exist doing the things that you do, and your behaviors transpire in people's minds through their own POV and through their own lens, the way in which it will. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it's a very I'm like, it's a very stoic way of looking at things. And at the same time, it speaks to a very heady, cerebral acting technique that I studied called practical aesthetics, which is what I said, which is that, practical aesthetics, and this is like a Stanislavski based acting technique. So this is a heady situation. So if you can wrap your mind about what I'm about to say, good for you. You can't act like you're doing something. You cannot. It looks like you're faking it, right? You can only do something. You cannot act drunk. I mean, you can, but it's not good acting, right? Like, "Nah, I don't want to talk to you guys. I'm done." Like you'd be like, "Oh, Chris, were you like you're doing a weird sketch, a bad sketch, where I'm playing at drunk." Okay, God bless. What you have to do is be as much as you can doing the things, and then somehow through your own scriptural analysis, the fact that you've built in a sense of tiredness or a sense of a sense of tiredness or a sense of like sloppiness or a sense of not being able to hold on to things or a sense of a little bit of a little like looseness. If you can hold on to something that is that and then do things through like something that feels like you're doing something, the behavior of a drunk will come from that. I don't know if I did a good job of explaining that. But why I'm bringing it up is that Mary can't act approachable. She either is or she isn't. And that is really based upon her action of what she's doing and the person witnessing it. If Mary is laughing with Amber and then some person looks over at her and is like, "I like a laugh like that," that's an approachable person to that person. Now, if Mary, laughs at Amber a little too loud and then someone looks over at that person and it's like, "Oh, they're a little much. Boy, do they want like attention in this moment." They may not get the attention that they want or whatever. They may not seem approachable. It's like 50-50. You don't really have control over it, but you do have control over like just doing what you can do and then just, trusting that whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So surprise, surprise, I say they don't get a match, which is like, do they get their refund then from this place? That was so sad. Neither of them matched. There was no one at the event. I mean, for me, if I'm like, this event, did you know that you were gonna have a reality star there? There was no way for you to like pack some older guys in there or like, I don't know, give the reality star one person to talk to? I don't know. I found it hilarious. So then we get the beginning of Cody's redemption tour, his apology tour, honey, and he picks North Carolina with Janelle to start. They go to a restaurant with those kind of like tiger print chairs everyone's into, is like Alice Shipley. I'm not quite sure. You know what I'm talking about. Everyone has those like kind of blue, turquoise, teal blue pad backdrop, orange cheetah print, kind of like safari looking kind of travel prints. I don't know how to describe them. Well, I mean, yes, I do. I just did. But they use them on the chairs in this restaurant that he picked, even though she lives there. And it was cute. When Cody sees Janelle, he's like, "Are you feeling healthy?" Weird. Yeah. Are you mad? Just kidding. Janelle has an Apple Watch band that she got specifically to fit her Apple Watch. I'm assuming from like a Nordstrom's or a Nordstrom's rack, maybe an Amazon. It was green. And you know what? Good for her. Because I cannot imagine. I like to think that Janelle has like the desire to change her Apple Watch bands. Not per outfit, but I believe at least just like from the boring one that it comes with. Cody straight up is like, let me just start by apologizing. I did one thing really shitty besides all the other things I did shitty, but the shittiest thing I did to you, Janelle, that I want to start off is by saying I never loved you. I did. That one time. I'm just kidding. But yeah, like he says that. She says, I know. I'm not with someone for 20 years, looking at their face, coming up between your thighs and not think this person fucking loves me. It's interesting how Janelle's relationship with Cody was like never on display or even like what felt like formidable enough to be talked about, except the lack thereof, right? Like Janelle was like the quiet horse where like, Christine was like, give me love, I want love. And Mary was like, catfish, and then like Robin was like, obviously the prize pony. And then Janelle was like, hey, and everyone was like, oh, do they even fuck or whatever? And Janelle was always like, oh yeah, we have like a spousal relationship. And now where we are is like he only really wants to talk to Janelle and they have this very heartfelt, emotional moment together. And so he cries, she cries. But she's like, I still don't want him like to ask to get back together. Now, this is where it gets, the chef's kiss of the episode. None of them will film with each other and Robin won't do anything. So Robin, besides go on bad dates with Cody at different restaurants around Flagstaff for the free meals. So the producers asked Robin what would happen if one of the women, Janelle, wanted to come back because, obviously it would only be Janelle. And she's like, no, I can't even go. I can't, you know what? I actually can't even go there because it was like, you guys did it where you brought up a little bit of hope. Yeah, hope. Because obviously all I've ever wanted was for them to all come back and for them to be a family and me. So that would be, but I can't even go there. So please don't ever bring it up again. I loved it. It was the best. Hi. Fine, dude. Okay, so we get a sad scene. The next sad scene happens. Oh, sorry. Let me go back. So then, So then that was a little Robin situation, and we're now back to Cody and Janelle. And he apologizes for this. He says, I apologize for never making you feel safe. That in the beginning, we didn't know each other, but there was a lot of love there. Janelle agrees and said that her and Janelle said that her and Mary would never be friends, like in the first place. Like when they became sister wives, already they were like not people that would ever be friends. And on top of that, when Janelle got in there, she said there was a lot of jealousy and insecurity, and it was bad. And then Cody describes a scene where he was going to go to work, like go on a work tour or something. He was like a door-to-door salesman or something at the time. And Janelle just cried and was like, don't you love me? And Cody said, don't you love me? Don't you love me? And he said that he replayed the scene over and over in his mind and now realizes like why she was saying it, why she felt that way, which was that he didn't make her feel safe. He did not take her side. This is what it seems like with Mary. He wasn't able to, because of his own deal, to see what Janelle's life was like in the very present moment that his life is happening, and also Mary's life is happening. Mary's life is happening, and he got married to Mary first, and Mary's the first wife, and Mary's telling him whatever Mary's wanting. And he is either, because Mary is more insecure, louder, whatnot, to drown out Mary or to appease his own laziness or his own like time frame. He says he was not kind or safe, fair to Janelle to be like, I'm going to make you feel seen and heard. And Janelle stayed. And Janelle, was really upset by it. Janelle says, like, at the time, like, she was pregnant with Logan. And she said that, like, in order to survive, like, to make all of this work, like, that she just, like, lost her identity just to keep the peace. Because, like, you know, the more that you know yourself, like, the stronger your sense of self is, the stronger your knowledge of the world and your knowledge of your own self, it's harder to take up less space. It's harder to just acquiesce and be like so spineless, because often this world isn't set up to take care of everyone. If it was, fine, sure. But like the world isn't set up to take care of like sensitive people, people that have like less power, oppressed people, weaker people, you know, whatever. Like this world is, you know, we can say a lot about this world, you know, it's not set up to like take care of women. It's not set up for all of it, you know, it's not, you know. So the more and more that you just fade into a world that doesn't take you seriously and then doesn't value your own perspective and position as much as it does itself, your own like wants and dreams, like the things that make you you, your weird obsessions or like what you follow naturally, like they don't become they're not as exciting and they're not as like loud. They're not as like high vibe because you suppress them so much because other things like take priority. You know, like if Janelle loved playing music, if she was like a big violinist, and as she's like in a home full of like people that she has to like always submit to, like not just her husband, but like, you know, all other wives, all the kids, if it's just about other people and other people's wants and dreams all the time, and you're a worker, not just a female, not just like someone who's like literally working, but also the worker of the family, like when would you have time to do anything? And especially like explore anything that enjoys, like when would you have time to play the violin? You lose yourself and your identity, you know, like when you don't get to kind of like spread your wings a little bit. And the spreading of your wings is like following your own like interests. Like where do they lead? Like where does that lead to the other? Like if you were to, I don't know, I'm gonna use a musician metaphor. If you like to play the violin and you have time to start studying at a place, and then, you know, maybe you meet your teacher and your teacher is like, hey, you're really good. Why don't you, you know, be in the recital that I'm doing? And, you know, like none of that happens if you don't take the time out of your like weekly life to go to a lesson, right? And if you have everyone else as your priority, you'll never go to that lesson. I don't know why this is such a theater heavy, like, because I've been talking for 3 hours. And so like, of course it's going to be theater heavy. I'm obsessed with theater. Two things. I've now talked about, like, this is a lot of this has to do with feminism, or the idea of how, like, historically, females have had to swallow what makes them, or like their own unique weirdness, intellect, art, to just exist in this world. And how then, of course, like what their value is, you know, could easily be like defined about beauty, right? And so then, of course, it becomes the most important paramount thing to be as beautiful as possible, period, the end, because at the end of the day, I don't have violin anymore. I only have how my face and body, mostly body in this world, makes other people react to me. And how do I, and give me things, or how do I get to live off of like how my waist to butt ratio is, all that. So, there's a show on Broadway called Liberation right now. So if you're in New York, and you're a female, or if you love women, I would highly recommend seeing Liberation. It's so good. It's really beautiful, really important storytelling. And nothing is like militant. Everything is the beauty and bittersweet like pain of the choices we make in this world, the choices we make in the world that we were born into, and the way in which we make this world work for us, and how we find love, happiness, the pursuit of it, how we find it at the end. And then what we like sacrifice in the knowledge that like what we did may or may not have made the things that troubled us better for the next generation. And there's like a certain amount of like, I think, guilt and shame sometimes when you like go up against challenges and you like want other people to not have to feel or deal with those things. But like how many battles can you fight? Anyway, Liberation on Broadway, see it. Also, the last thing I'll say about this metaphor of Janelle like losing her identity just to survive and keep the peace, it's exactly like Yelena in Uncle Vanya, Chekhov's Uncle Vanya. Yelena is married to like a crazy fucking annoying boastful professor who just is like robs her of like her ability to have an opinion or do anything of her own accord, and she's like a brilliant pianist, and then she doesn't get to play the piano. Okay, moving on. So sorry. There's not enough people in this room to have like a Chekhov nerd. Appreciate that. Okay, so it's fine. After in this conversation, Cody and Janelle are asked if their breakup was inevitable. And Janelle says yes. At the end, they cry and they agree that in order to like pay some respects to Garrison, that they will go and give his like headstone a military memorial. At the end of that scene, Janelle said that it was healing and unexpected, and he said that she was gracious and kind and made it easy. But also he wanted it to be easy. Cody wants nothing more than to be let off the hook. And I think that as we get into these episodes more and more, we get more of the fact that he wanted out. He wants to be let off the hook of the guilt and responsibility for having broken up his family, but he also wanted to be let off of the hook of having to deal with the responsibility of his family, period. And I think there must be a part of him that's like, he won't say this, but he feels this immense amount of pressure because he is the patriarch of this family in a very patriarchal world, in a very patriarchal society and religion. And it's like he won't say that has unspoken anger and resentment towards that. Like, to me, it feels like Cody has resentment for having had to shoulder the responsibility of being a father and a husband and make the decisions and get the family to, be on one page and coexist. And he did not want to do that anymore. But he never seemed to understand that those roles were put in place by like the same kind of weird rules of masculinity he still subscribes to. Like, he hasn't put it together in his head how his beliefs created who he was, and therefore his behaviors were like based upon those beliefs. And therefore, when things didn't work out, it was because of his belief system that he never changed his beliefs. He never even examined them. Like, his biggest thing is not to be made to feel guilty and not to take the blame and to get over the anger and rage that he has at his wives for not wanting to continue in a sham marriage. It's, I mean, it's very narcissistic behavior, come on. So, the last little bit we get of this episode is Christine and David, because, Christine also was a step on the Cody apology tour. And at this point, we would have assumed that she would be like the last person that he wants to talk to. And at this point, it feels like Mary is, which I think is funny. Cody does not want to meet up with him at all. Cody's like, absolutely fucking not. I know it's a hypocritical thing because I get when I left, I was like, yeah, you guys, I'm going to leave this family. I fucking don't want to be here anymore. But don't worry, because like in a couple of years, we'll all get together. It'll be like totally fine. And Christine's like, yeah, no, I lied. I never want to see him again. I don't want to see Robin. No, I'm good. Cool. Bye. I'm going to pretend it didn't fucking happen. I'm burning it all to the ground. That shit never happened to me. And I'll kill you if you say it did. I wasn't there. Anyway, so now David is like, well, we should, let the man, have a say, and he's your dad, he's your kid's dad, and all that stuff. And Cody just keeps saying like, I want to extend an olive branch, which the fact that he is like so stuck on sayings is also like, buddy, is this real? What fucking jargon did you like pick up and you just like are rummaging around in your mind? You keep saying out loud. Christine's like, I don't trust anything out of his mouth. He is mean and puts me down. I get like terrorized. I'm like still terrorized by him. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. She says she won't say yes, but that David talks her into it because David's like, hey, the thing you want most in life is for your kids to have a good relationship with their dad. And how are you going to expect them to do it if they don't see a shining example in you? And she's like, fuck. Fuck you, David. Fuck your Quicksilver shirt. Take those glasses off the back of your neck, David. He says this while kicking her ass over pickleball. Pickleball is the word, pickleball. She's not an athletic person. Same girl, same. I've never been athletic. My bones, my body, my limbs don't move the way they should. Like, like they're just not fluid in an athletic way. Like, I know this sounds dumb because I do feel like I have the propensity for grace when it comes to like dance movements. Well, but you know what it is? I'm a legato girl. I'm a like legato, right? It's a music term, but like I'm not staccato. And I think a lot of like athleticness is staccato-ness, which is like hard, fast, quick movements, brisk, quick, up and up. Like, like I am not someone who can move fast at all. My body won't do it. Like I can't get from point A to point B in like 0 seconds fast. Like I cannot, like in order for my arm to move, 14 things have to happen before like one whole movement happens. You know what I'm saying? So there's never gonna be a time in which I can do something fast, like to, faster than someone else. Okay. I hate that. But truly, like it ruined, it makes me upset because it's like anytime like I have to like suddenly perform athletic behaviors, it's like I forgot that it exists. Like, oh no, sports exists. Fuck. It's like, okay. In school, remember how like we had to take math classes, and unless you became a mathematician, God bless you, there was a time in which we knew that like we would never have to take a math class again. And like, how much of this math do we really have to actually do? And the truth is not a lot, right? Never, hardly anything ever. But there's times in which some comes up and I'm like, oh fuck. Okay. That's exactly what sports is like to me. Like I feel like in school was the time in which I was forced to do sports. Forced. And that, since then, nope. Now, obviously, like the range of movement exists. And I like yoga and I love Pilates. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like that shit a lot. I like swimming. I like hiking, I like walking. But like competitive sports where you're aggressive against someone else and you have to get to a ball before someone else does, and they're gonna get to the ball and they're gonna like try and get to it, and your whole body is up against that person's whole body, and they're not giving a fuck about you and your comfort, or if you're getting hit, they don't care. In fact, if you are in their way, they will hit you. And your whole job is to get in their way. So what I'm hearing is my whole job is to sacrifice my body to get one particular play, one ball in one place. And I'm supposed to go up against someone where it's man versus man. That's, I don't get it. Like, cause I'm like, I don't mind shooting a basketball, but like, if you get too close to me, like trying to like hit me, I'm not gonna like hit you back. I'm gonna like run away. I'll throw the ball at you and then I'll just leave. So anyway, Christine saying she hates sports. I'm like, yes, Christine. Two things we have in common: our names and our athletic abilities. Things we don't have in common: taste in men. Nope. But we both like Moab. Okay, so oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. That was actually the end of the episode. So, Christine says yes. David talked her into it. They're going to go, but it's like Cody's going to hang out with David. And then Christine's like, I don't want to be there, which I think is actually kind of interesting. But at the same time, it doesn't make sense if David tried to talk Christine into meeting up with Cody. But obviously, we do know that they meet because we see them in a preview. But it's like all very convoluted the way that they get us here, because they kept showing David and Cody in those go-cars, right? Like all season long, we knew that happened. At the same time, they wouldn't show us Christine and Cody. And even now, Christine's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to say yes. And then he talks me into it by saying that I have to. But I don't really want to see him. And maybe just David will hang out with him. But we're like, yeah, but it's also like, I wonder like how the seasons are going to go after this. Like, so if the end of the season is the apology tour of the wives, like is next season like we start the kids? Because I don't think that they can do another tease of like, oh, Robin and Cody might bring another one in. Like, no, they're not. And I think that this was the season that like that one little joke of one little tease like happened. And I don't think the fans will like allow it to happen again, because it's very obvious that Robin did all she could do to like not make sure that she was a monogamist. And they both only love each other. I mean, they both only love each other. He loves no other person, like no other person. So I don't understand like what is going to yeah, unless he can just honestly be like, I'm bringing in a sex slave for me. And I'm not going to bring in a wife. I'm just going to bring someone I can fuck when I want. I don't know. But it's interesting. So that was the end of the Sister Wives ep, my love, and loves. 23 people are here. Thank you so much for being here. And can you believe that I've been talking for 2 hours and 51, almost 52 minutes? You know why I know? Because my lips are dry, bone dry. I mean, they are dry. Oh, my loves, thank you so much. I heard this is the show's last season. Yeah. I think that, the next thing would be like for them to like do maybe a Maddie spinoff. But I wondered if they really they thought that the farms was going to be up and at 'em already. Like, and it's been bad news with permits or whatever, how long it was going to take for the farm to be put up. And I wonder if there was a part of them being like, the farm is going to be a heavy part of the season so that they could maybe get a spinoff, but the farm isn't up yet. So all we had is like these like one or two scenes there, and the baby birth. I love you guys so much. I have to go. I have to A, put on chapstick. But also B, thank you guys so much for being here. And obviously, thank you for commenting, for spending the evening with me. Thank you for listening to me talk about my 90 Day Fiancé holiday party. experience and all of that, as well as my recap for The Other Way and Sister Wives. I mean, really appreciate your love and support. It's been such a fun week for me, and like also a really it's been a really great and somewhat like overwhelmingly exciting but also scary like couple of months of like starting Vanity Fair, the podcast, which of course is like, basically only the name could have come from like people that, have listened to me talk about this show on YouTube for so long in live. So I am like full of a lot of gratitude for so many reasons, but also I certainly like appreciate you guys for like sticking with me and hanging out with me and listening to me. Truly. I'm really excited to like continue to make content and continue to talk about things. And I hope that I get better. And I hope I'm not too mean, but I hope I'm just like very truthful. I really want to like create this bridge where we get to talk about the stories and characters in like conversations that make us feel like we aren't alone. Because maybe if I was to bring everything together in this one moment, I would say that the pursuit of happiness and the pursuit of love certainly means that you've come to terms with like a universal profound loneliness that we all have. And I think that one way to come to terms with that is the knowledge that we all are alike and all have such feelings. And those moments happen for me like in storytelling. It's why I love theater so much or whatever, right? True. So I think there's like a beautiful remedy to the wanting of love and the wanting of happiness is choosing that love already exists and choosing that you are happy and knowing that we are all the same and finding a certain amount of comfort in that. And I think that like the finding of the comfort happens after you choose. It's weird though, because sometimes it can feel like when you make a choice that you kill things, like you kill the other options, right? And I think that in a culture that's kind of like go, go, go and hustle, 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 and like swipe, 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 and whatever. There is this like next, 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 and what's better, what's bigger. And the nothing is, and maybe everything is, but peace and comfort will happen like when you can kind of know yourself and get to a level where you find what works for you, choose to work on yourself and where you are, and then just be present in the moment and find your joy, find your happiness. Because it exists in the present moment and within you. So you have to like accept that and then stop looking for it outside of this present moment, outside of yourself, outside of your relationship, and then just, But at the same time, yeah, we are all, experiencing this universe and this life in like profoundly different and similar ways. And that part's wild. Like different cultures, different religions, different times, different genders, different orientations. And there are like, such beautiful like differences and also such painful similarities and such beautiful similarities. So that's it, my loves. I'll tell you one similarity I don't want, which is David's fashion sense. David can keep his own fashion sense. I have nothing to do with that. We are not one. All right, my loves, let's breathe, get it all out, and we'll end 3 hours. All right, 2 breaths, rehearsal breath, second breath. We're in the present moment together, all 20 of us. Thank you so much for being here. Please like this video. Please subscribe. Please hit the notification bell and comment after the video has gone up so I know you're here. And if you haven't yet, please obviously follow me. I'm at Chris L. Farah on Instagram, on TikTok. I have a Substack. I'm Chris Farah on Facebook. I have Vanity Fair as my Facebook group. I actually started a Patreon. All of it exists. So, hi, you're here. All right, 2 breaths in and out, because we are going to be comforted by the knowledge that in this moment, on Thursday, 12/11, 11/11, it's 10 p.m. So right now it's 12 December. On the 11th at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, everyone in this room is here right now. We're going to breathe together to make sure the sound of our breath, as we feel it in our body, make sure that we feel that we know we're all together. No one's on their phone. No, I mean, you're on your phone listening, maybe. But it's just like a special thing. It's exactly, I don't know, maybe it is like a very real time that we get to experience. Like, it's almost like the eye contact I get to have with you guys during this live. Because I definitely love reading your words. And obviously, I don't enjoy just staring at a hole in my computer the whole time and then someone looking down at my face and being like, let's look back up there, you know. Anyway, but this moment of this breath does make me feel like I think that I can like just, I don't know, imagine that we actually are just all hanging out. Okay, so here we go. Blow it out. We're going to breathe in all together in this very moment because we are all together, taking things in we need and letting out anything we don't. That was nice. We're all going to go back to our lives. So I certainly thank you so much for sharing your life with me. And I will talk to you later. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. And, you know, take care of yourselves and one another. Stand up for what you believe. And you make art any way you can. Don't put too much pressure on yourself because it can definitely be small. All right. Bye.